Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final day. This is it. It's all come down to this. I'm Aussie Drongo. With me this evening is Mitoe. Mitoe, how you doing?
Doing fantastic. Glad to be back in AoE 3, casting after so long. The last time we casted together was Age of Empires 4, so this is a return to our roots, so to say, and for a good set of matches today as well.
Yeah, I'm incredibly pumped up for these matches. We got some crazy players that have come through this. A couple of people that, I mean, if you've been around the scene, I'm sure their names are familiar. But for me, you know, it's been a long time since I've seen Ungers doing this. I'll be honest, I've never seen him do this well. I'm so impressed. Obviously, our grand final game for this evening, it's going to be Revnak up against Ungers. He's taken out Warsword. He's taken out Optimus. And now he's through to the grand finals. Apparently, the kid's only 17 years old, which is absolutely insanity. I'm incredibly excited about that game, but we've also got the third place match, which is what we're going to be going into shortly. I don't know about you, Mitoe. I'm incredibly pumped for this one.
Oh yeah, I think they're going to be great games today. Another player who has been improving a lot lately, similar to Ungers, is going to be Julian, also known as Floco, in our third place match today. So yeah, pretty exciting to have. I would say basically 3 new players, Warsword as well, that don't historically you haven't really seen them at the top of these Supremacy tournaments, but they did extremely well this time around, and yeah, it's just great to see new blood in the scene.
Yeah, definitely got to agree with that. It's great to see. And I mean, we got people like Julian. He's been around for a while, but you know, he's never really cracked the whip that hard. But now all of a sudden, you know, he said, "Hey, $9 grand. I'm gonna have to work a bit harder to get that." And well, hey, here we are. Here he is in the third place match. So look, he's done an amazing job. But look, heading into the first game here, we've got an Italy mirror. I'm looking forward to this. Obviously, one of the new civilizations. Who do you fancy here in this first game?
Ooh, to take an Italy mirror?
I feel like Italy's got the advantage here.
Yeah, I think Italy should do pretty well here for sure. Yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of strategies they choose to go for here. I believe in the games yesterday, Warsword against Ungers, they also played an Italy mirror, and in that game, they both went for a fast industrial. But that map was on Dhaka, and today we're going to be seeing the Italy mirror also on Dhaka, or I guess this map isn't Dhaka anymore, but very similar.
Indeed, it is. And ladies and gentlemen, we are now jumping in to the first game of your first series today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Spawning in on the north side of the map, playing in the color blue as the Italians, it's Julian K, aka Floco. And on the south side, in the color red, playing as the Italians as well, we've got Warsword. So what do you expect to see from the early stages of the Italian? Obviously, the market's going to be coming out. They're going to be looking to try and pick up as many techs as possible. Try and get those villagers in. Are you expecting that we're going to be seeing just the standard Italian build order out here? Is it going to be an early capitalism?
Yeah, I'm expecting both players are probably going to start with that early market, grab those upgrades. We already see them both collecting the gold for that early hunting dogs. That's going to grab them some extra villagers. And then, yeah, just collect to age and send that early capitalism and begin constructing those Lombards in the early commerce stage.
All right. Well, we'll have to see exactly how they look to play it. We'll have a look and see what kind of treasures we've got out on the map. Over on the west side of the map, we can see we've got Warsword already moving out to a treasure out here. Nice little 90 coin guarded by 2 gunmen. It's going to be looking to get the crack shot down on the first one. Now going to be meleeing through on the second one. A very nice pickup over here for him. We'll check in with the Explorer of Julian and see exactly what he's up to, because he's over on the east side of the map at the moment, just hanging out underneath the treasure as well. When it comes to this sort of early game scenario, Mitoe, what kind of treasures are you looking for as Italy?
I think Italy is usually pretty happy with any treasure. I mean, like most civs, food is usually nice to get that age up in a little bit sooner, but you know, sometimes with Italy you can get like a good wood and coin treasure, and then you can get like steel traps on your way up to the next age, or even earlier sometimes, and that will grant you that extra vil and that 20% hunting really early, and that can feel really strong.
Okay, all right. Well, we see the decks here. Got water 1v1 coming out for Julian, so there doesn't seem to be anything too interesting in here. Everything looks pretty standard. Obviously, Italy focused a bit more heavily on the late game, on that industrial age, and we can see that's exactly what he's looking to focus on here. We'll take a look now at the deck of Warsword and see what he is up to as well, because I suspect his focus is probably going to be in that same region. All right, Mitoe, if you could go ahead and pronounce the deck name here, that would be wonderful.
Good deck win game.
That is exactly the right name. Nothing too crazy here, nothing out of the ordinary. Is there anything that you spot that you're kind of raising your eyebrows at? We can see Papal Arsenal being highlighted at the moment, which grants your Papal units powerful charged attacks. So that could be something to look for in the late game, and that might be a key difference here between these two players in the event that it does go late.
Yeah, it definitely looks like both players are leaning towards that industrial age, or at least they have that option available to them with these decks. So that's definitely kind of what I'm expecting from them in this game. Like Italy, as we know, like it tends to love going to industrial age anytime that it's possible. And in the mirror, where you want to be as greedy as possible, usually it seems like a solid option. Just get up to the next age, get out those cannons, get out the Bersagliere. Hopefully my pronunciation isn't butchered there, but being that age 4 skirmisher unit that, you know, just shadow text to guard makes the industrial age really, really appealing.
Okay, well, look, I'm going to be expecting that in this game. Now, I'm not going to be playing favorites, but one thing I know about Julian is that he is an incredibly good treaty player. So the longer the game goes, the more he reaches his comfort zone. And we know that he's incredibly competent when it comes to things like Culverin micro. So I'm expecting this first game probably going to be going over towards his side. And I would be saying at this point that if Warsword's able to pull out a victory here in this first game, it's definitely going to be to my surprise.
Yeah, I would say Julian is definitely going to be more comfortable in these late game situations with, especially as you said, yeah, the artillery micro. But it's still a supremacy game, and it's not going to be the same thing as treaty. And I mean, he's shown himself to be very capable in these games, but Warsword is a very creative player, and he could catch him off guard.
All right, well, we'll take a look and see what are the politicians that we are going up with here. We're spectating Warsword at the moment, so he's looking to go with the governor here. So just the classic old age up. We'll check in with Julian and see what he's going for, and it is going to be Mitoe, if you wouldn't mind giving us the pronunciation on this one.
The Medici?
I'll take it. That sounds pretty good to me. So his age up's coming through a little bit different, but Lombard's also coming through already. Now, I'll need to double check exactly what the manual says. There's the Lombard wagon coming down now. So this is quite a lot of early Lombards coming through.
Yeah, so kind of the plan with Italy is to build up as many of these Lombards as possible in the early Commerce Age and ship this Uffizi card. And it actually gives, when you invest these resources into the Lombard, once you send Uffizi, it also gives you an XP trickle on top of the trickle of other resources you're coming in. It's about the rate of like half a trading post. And so when you get a lot of Lombards up and you get this card in, it also gives you the Basilica. And that combined with the XP income from the Lombards and the XP income from the Basilica, it just ends up being a ton of experience points, which is really, really valuable in these games where you want to go industrial age and get those really powerful shipments out.
All right. Well, we can see the players already looking to build their bases. You can see that they've got this sort of front line that they're placing there. The Lombards obviously sticking towards the front. They want to keep their outpost, their town center behind it, because in the event an enemy pushes in, they want to give themselves as much distance as possible. So we see on the other side of the map that the Julian is going to be doing something similar with his own base building. But one of the key differences here is he's actually taken a trading post. Is this something that you'd consider standard?
Yeah, it's an option. It just speeds up your build order a little bit. Again, going to give you more XP for those strong shipments in the later stages of the game, which is kind of where we're expecting this game to go right now. Neither player seems to be postured to do anything aggressive just yet. And it does also open the option to maybe get some control of the map with Stagecoach later on.
All right. Well, a big shout out also coming through to I Am Magno with the $20 tip. Thank you very much, mate. And I'm glad you're enjoying the cast. Well, we begin to see the barracks coming up slowly. Age 3 on the way through. It's going to be the marksman coming through for Warsword We'll check in with Julian in the north and see if he's up to something similar. But the upgrades are coming through from a little bit behind the times, though. But he does have advanced politicians on the way. Let's talk a little bit about this card. Obviously, this is one of the new cards that's come through in the expansion. So it's going to be, tell us a little bit about this. Is that decreasing the time it takes for you to age up?
Yeah, it makes you age up a little bit quicker. It also increases the bonus, the reward for aging from your next politician. So sometimes we see players actually wait until Industrial Age to send this so that they can get to Industrial Age more quickly and get something like an extra Falconet out of the Engineer Age up or something like that. But yeah, it looks like he's opted to go for it in the to the Fortress Age here. So that's a little bit interesting, and I wonder if he could be using that to do some kind of Fortress Age push and maybe punish Warsword if he goes to Industrial Age.
I feel like that's probably a little bit of a dangerous decision. Well, not a dangerous decision, but it's not playing to his strengths, right? Because one of the things that we know about him is that Julian is an incredibly good treaty player. So, as we talked about before, the longer this game does go on, the better his chances, the better his odds. But I guess one of the things to also consider is that when you've got that mirror matchup, you got to play a little bit more. I mean, you talked a bit earlier about it. You said a bit greedier, but by the same token, you can throw something a little bit spicy out there as well. Perhaps that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, it could be. Looks like we're on Warsword's point of view here. He's going to be sending along the... I can't remember the name of this card, but it's going to deposit 1,500 gold into his Lombards, and that's going to start trickling a lot of experience and resources for him. Yeah, definitely looks like an Industrial Age for him. We can see that his resources are approaching the macro he needs to click up to the next age. Meanwhile, though, Julian, we're not sure what he's up to just yet, but he's adding a second town center right now. And also sending that card. Doesn't look like he's training any units just yet, so looks like he'll be going for an Industrial Age himself as well, but maybe a little bit slower and a little bit more economy behind it.
All right, so once we hit the Imperial Age, obviously going to be looking for, the big boys, the Bersaglieri. I hope I'm not butchering that pronunciation. Is that where you're suspecting both of these guys will go, or will they look to diversify into some other type of unit?
I suspect that that's where both players will go. It's just the easiest unit you have access to at that point in the game. I don't see them really being able to do much else. Maybe one of them could try to go for some early Papal Lancers from the Basilica or something like that, but I don't expect them to really get enough of them out to do anything meaningful in early Industrial.
All right, well, a very passive game so far, but at the same time, both players, I feel like at this point, we're in the first round of a boxing match. That part where they're not really, like, they're throwing out those little feelers with each other's, like, their hands, but they're not actually, like, connecting any blows yet. I feel like it's that sort of thing where they're just, they're just keeping distance at each other. They're setting themselves up now. But we've got the Age 4s coming through. Nice and early age up time here as well, just shy of 9 minutes with the click up. It's going to be the Engineer, and as you mentioned, we'll be looking for that third Falconet on the age up. Very, very nice. We'll take a look over at the other side of the map, though, and see how Julian is doing. Unfortunately, he's going to be losing his Explorer by the looks of it, which kind of sucks right before Industrial. Obviously, as soon as you hit Industrial, the Explorer gains a lot of power. So you want to try and keep that bad boy alive for as long as possible. All right, well, Trading Post is going to be focused down for the moment. Industrial Age has come through. Not a bad little timing right here. 9 minutes and 50 seconds. I tell you what, that is bloody early, isn't it, Mitoe? That is like, back in the old days, hitting the 950. Whew, you're a madman.
Yeah, that is a quick Industrial Age, but, by today's standards, it's not that insane anymore. Crazy how far the game has come and how far the meta has developed and how optimized the builds are these days. But yeah, he's already out here killing this Trading Post, applying a little bit of pressure, and Julian will be up to Industrial Age just behind him. Not going to be too upset about losing that Trading Post, I think. And we've got the another Lombard card incoming for him, so not too concerned about the enemy units on his front door. Just going to keep the economy rolling.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. The name of the game, Age of Booming. That is indeed it. But look at the Lombards that we've got here on both sides. 5 for each of the players. But that aggression has fallen back for the moment. Musketeers have moved away from the base of Julian. But now we've got some Papal shipments coming through. Tell us a little bit about these units, Mitoe.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly which one this is.
Looks like the Papal Lancer to me.
Yeah, it is going to be the Papal Lancers. So, yeah, the Papal Lancer is a pretty solid unit. It's got a moderate bonus against infantry, so it's pretty good. It's a little bit similar to the Almedi, just with that smaller bonus on the attack, and so it's a pretty solid unit overall. And it's definitely going to be strong into the artillery and the Bersagliers that Italy is going to want to go for here in early industrial.
Yeah, all right. Well, we see Culverin's already moving out for Julian, doing his classic style. I'm going to expect. What's your peak Culverin expectation here out of Julian? I'm going with 8. I reckon we'll see a maximum of 8, and that'll be it. No more out of the man.
I think that's reasonably likely. Italy does have access to the 4 Culverin card, and he does have 4 Culverins on the field now, or he will in a second when they pop out from this artillery foundry. So 4 + 4 = 8. You might be correct.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's see exactly what he does. But obviously, Italians, infamous for their late-game artillery. Do we potentially see the big boys coming out, the chonkers?
Oh, we'll definitely see them eventually. But I suspect that we're probably not going to see them too early, as players don't want to risk losing them to a 4 Culverin shipment right away. So they'll probably trade off their Culverins, and then whoever wins will send the Papal Lancers. And yeah, we have the 4 Culverins coming in now for Warsword. And that's going to be, yeah, helping bolster his artillery forces, but he's not going to have enough Culverins to deal with what Julian's got.
Yeah, well, he does have the Culverin Royale shipment, which is, or rather upgrade, that's just come through for him. So preempting that a little bit. Military numbers starting to look pretty decent here, up to 115 population at the moment. We'll ride on board with Julian and just check in with him and see how he's doing with regard to his population. And he is, he's going to be pretty damn close, sitting on 121, so not too bad. Both of these guys in the same ballpark. So it's really going to come down to the micro when it is in these sorts of situations where both players have entered the same stage of the game with realistically the exact same, you know, economy behind them.
Well, you say that, but I mean, look at the top of the screen there. We've got almost a 15 villager lead for Julian now at that second town center. And I don't think he's really in any rush to finish the game, but he's pushing across the map anyway. He's feeling pretty confident in his numbers, and that economy lead is going to be a big problem for Warsword if he comes out behind in this fight.
Yeah, we can see from the line of sight some Kolb shots going to come off. He manages to get the double over on that north side. Warsword going to be very happy with that pickup. The 3 versus 2. Always a lovely trade when you get one like that. Doesn't that feel so damn good? More shots coming through. You can see the Falconets looking to push up as well. At the same time, the Papal Lance is going to be holding on the front. The Culverins firing off towards the Falconets, looking to focus it down. But at the same time, things not looking good right now for Julian Gay. He's going to be losing a lot of units here on this front side. The question is going to be whether the Lancers are going to be able to hold on for him. And it looks like they're not doing too bad. The siege has gone down for the most part. It's only Culverin that remain. And that's not a super big threat to the military that stands here with Julian.
Yeah, that was actually looking like a questionable fight for Julian there, but it ended up turning out really well for him. And now, yeah, with the Lancers on the back here, it's actually looking really strong for him. He's got the economy behind it as well, and he's going to be pushing onto the base here and putting some pressure onto Warsword. And Warsword really needs to make something happen in this fight. This is kind of his only opportunity to stay in the game.
Yeah, the key factor that you mentioned a bit earlier was that villager count. We can see now it's begun to really push out up to 25 villager difference, and or up to rather 20 villager difference. It's starting to get quite big. And so, as you mentioned, if he doesn't win this fight, then really he's not going to have the scaling of that second town center. But we do have our friends coming out. It's going to be the Papal Bombards looking to try and make a move out on the field. Fortunately, Julian spots that and tries his best to get out of the way. But hold on a minute. He's got his own chonkers on the north side, pushing through. We're going to take out that first Lombard.
Yeah, things are looking really, really strong for Julian now. He's taken a commanding lead, I think, here. Those Papal Bombards that Warsword has are not going to have an easy time getting into position to defend these Lombards, so they're going to be slowly taking damage. And Julian's in no rush here. Like, he doesn't need to push under the TC and siege it down or anything like that. He just needs to sit back, yeah, wait for the Culverins to arrive. He can take his time because he's really far ahead on economy.
And there the Culverins go, taking out the first of the Papal Bombard. Second one about to go down. There she goes. And that is going to be all she wrote. It makes it very difficult right now for Warsword to defend this position. He's down Bombards. He's down Culverin. The only thing he's really got going for is his infantry, but he's popped out a couple Culver. He's going to be looking for a shot off, but unfortunately, he doesn't unpack. He just rolls him up to the front line. They trade out 1-for-1, but Floco is going to happily take that. Bombard's continuing to fire off, looking to try and take out that infantry. The Papow Bombard really going to be the difference, the key difference here in this fight. You can see he's just overwhelming him completely. Julian looking to take this game right now, the first one in this best of 9 series.
Yeah, I really am not sure how Warsword's going to hold this, and yeah, there's the resignation coming out from him, and wow, just really calm play by Julian this game. Like, he really just sat back and was like, yeah, I'll just do the same thing as you, and I'll just do it slightly slower, but with a lot more economy, and there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it, and then I'm just going to win the game.
All right, well, let's, I mean, it was an impressive game from Floco, and that's sort of the thing that we expected, right? The longer the game goes on, the more focus there is on siege and artillery, then the better that is for him, because that's where he excels. You know, you've got players that do really well in the early game, you've got players that do really well, you know, when they put their enemy on tilt, and then you've got Floco, who just does incredibly well in that late game scenario. So I think he got very fortunate with the matchup. Obviously, a great matchup here for him because it is a very boom-heavy, boom-focused matchup. You know, had we seen the Haudenosaunee come out here for Warsword, I suspect it may have been a different outcome, but the reality is that Julian did incredibly well here in this game. So 1-0 for him, and we move on to the second game.
Yep, that's a strong start for him for sure. Both players having played Italy now, they still have to play Malta for the remainder of the series, but I don't know that we'll see it here in the second game. It's going to be on Saxony? No, wait, is it? I actually don't know what the next map is. I'm sorry.
But I'm waiting for it as well. Don't worry. We'll let you guys know when we find it. Now, I am aware that we're having some issues with audio, so we're going to look into that one behind the scenes. It might be a good idea for us maybe just to take a quick little breather. Okay, so the next map is going to be Pomerania, but we'll need to work out audio and find out exactly what's going on. Yeah. All right, let's have a look and see if we've got matchup through just yet. All right, guys, how is the audio coming through now? Don, how am I looking? Mr. Merlin, how are we looking? Is that sounding a little bit better? Mr. Merlin,
I'll do a little bit of talking as well, just to make sure it's good for me.
I'm liking it. I'm liking it. All right, everybody's sounding good apparently.
Okay, that's good.
Wonderful. All right, well, no need to take a breather. We are ready to go. Let's get it started. Oh, all right. So the matchup for the second game is going to be Haudenosaunee and Spain. It's a bit of a classic matchup right here, Mitoe. How are you feeling about this one?
Ooh, I like this matchup a lot, actually. It's really interesting because, well, there's just it's kind of all about how Haudenosaunee chooses to play it.
Yeah.
Because they have more options. Spain is going to want to be in Fortress Age in most situations, but Haudenosaunee, they can choose to try and do like an all-out rush to slow down Spain, or they can choose to try and do a fast fortress and try to out-micro the Spanish player with those strong musket riders and forest prowlers and stuff like that. But it's always an interesting matchup because those two falconets can come out so early for Spain, and the falconets are not super easy for Haudenosaunee to deal with. So it's going to be all about how he can control those.
Yeah, Haudenosaunee notoriously have a difficult time of dealing with falconets in the third age. Obviously, once they get to the fourth age, everything is A-okay. They got some of the best siege in the game, or best artillery in the game. But yeah, age 3 makes it a lot difficult, or a lot more difficult. So do you think there's going to be a bit more of a focus here? I mean, let's suspect that Julian's going to be looking to go for that super fast fortress. Is there going to be a trend towards a heavier amount of Kanya horsemen, just simply because there is a very high likelihood that two Falcons are going to be out super early?
I think the Kanya horsemen are hard to justify, just because like Spain has so many options to get heavy infantry out, like Rodoleros or aging up with pikes, or even shipping like the 12 pikes card, that those Kanyas are unlikely to get on top of something like the Falconets. And Musket Riders already have like a slightly higher multiplier against cannons than Dragoons do anyway. So I would kind of expect just more Musket Riders from them.
All right, well, we'll have to see how he plays it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be jumping in to game number 2 in just a moment. So if you haven't already, make sure you put your money where your mouth is. We've got predictions open up on the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second game in your bronze place final match. Spawning in over on the east side of the map in the color blue, playing as the Haudenosaunee, we've got Julian K. And on the west side of the map in the color red, playing as the Spanish, we've got Warsword. All right, Mitoe, we talked a little bit earlier about what we can expect in this matchup. It's going to be, typically, it's going to be on the Haudenosaunee to choose how this map, or how this matchup plays out. Does he want to go aggressive? Does he want to go for, you know, something a little bit more fortress orientated? What if you're coming into this game as the Haudenosaunee, you're up against Spain. You know, you've got a bit of a water map here, and it looks like we might even have an early dock coming out. How do you look to play this?
Yeah, I think as Haudenosaunee, you do the standard start, right? You go with the dock, you get your 3 fishing boats, or 4 fishing boats, depending on how it goes, and then you try and add in that trading post in transition to get that extra XP going, and then you can choose kind of from there what you want to do. The one thing you have to be careful of is if Spain can go for like ATP or something like that, and if they manage to get those trading posts up before you can get your trading post, that can be really tricky for Haudenosaunee. So that's something that Julian's going to have to watch out for here with this dock start.
All right, well, we'll watch to see how he plays it as the 3 villagers begin coming in. Bit of an interesting deck here. Well, let's take a look at this card coming out in the first age here. It's not something that you typically see, the High Chief. Oh, hold on a minute. I take that back. This looks like it might have been changed, so it now enables the hit point aura action. This is a recent change, Mitoe. I haven't seen this one before.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen this one in play either, but yeah, it looks like it has been changed. So I'm not sure that this is super useful. Increases the hit points of buildings. I suspect that he just has this card in his deck. Just because a lot of the time you like having a stronger war chief with any of the native civilizations, so that's probably the main purpose for it, but I'm not sure exactly how big that aura is for buildings. Maybe it's larger than I expect, and that extra hit points boost could actually be pretty strong.
Maybe he's thinking about defending from the 2 Falconets with the town center, a classic move. But you know what ain't so classic? Have a look at this. Instead of the ATP, we've actually got capitalism coming out here for Warsword. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is kind of like a newer meta thing that's been going around sometimes, is shipping to capitalism in transition with Spain. I can't remember exactly what the follow-up is, but it's some kind of fortress build, if I remember correctly. Yeah, the card has been buffed a lot, kind of since the United States was released. I believe it was buffed from like 1.25 trickle to 1.65, and that makes the card like 2.5 villagers, which is quite a decent card, especially for Spain, who gets a lot of those cheap shipments.
Especially when you consider like you're never going to be raided with that. It's always going to be working. You know, you're not going to be hitting those super important gold mines as well, so it's always going to be nice. But we can see a heavy focus here on wood. So Julian going to be able to secure that trading post without too much of a hassle. The Spanish explorer in the middle of the map at the moment, nowhere to be seen, so should allow him to get this one up. We can see him about to cross that threshold now. He's just put another fishing boat in the queue, but the explorer, he's walking, oh, I was going to say in the direction, there we go, walking in the direction of the trading post. But at the same time, we've got the explorer here from Warsword ready and waiting, knowing exactly what he's going to be up to. Look at this. You're so cheeky, Warsword. I see what you're up to. The outpost does come down.
Oh, he does spot the trading post, but he's then walking away. He had the opportunity there to just train some war dogs and deny that trading post, and that would have been really strong, I think.
That's what I was thinking as well. I'm like, he sees the TP coming up, And I mean, it seems curious that he left it because he had more than enough time to take out the Explorer. Can we have a look at what the Explorer was on Julian's Explorer? I think it's about what 40-50%. Oh, never mind, 150.
Yeah, that would have been an easy kill for Spain for sure.
Yeah.
So that's a missed opportunity there. I don't know if he saw how low Julian's Explorer was, but yeah, this is kind of the follow up with the capitalism shipment. Is you can go for this second TP because you don't have to mine any of that coin to help you age up to Fortress, and then you get a lot of extra shipments rolling, and that capitalism kind of just becomes a free card at that point for Spain.
All right. Well, we begin to see the second age shipments coming through. It's going to be 5 villages coming through for our Haudenosaunee player. He's got a nice little army already beginning to build, and the Travois going to be moving into a war hut most definitely. But we'll have a look on the other side of the map and see exactly how Warsword is doing. So he's going to be... There we go. So we can have a look at the shipment. So take a look at how much gold he's already got sitting in the bank. Up to 450, Mitoe. Jeez Louise. He's serious about that Spanish gold, isn't he?
Yeah, that's a decent amount of gold for him as well. Yeah, 700 coin could be coming in for him, so it is going to be the standard FF. We've got the tower going down in the middle of the map on that gold mine there. And the question is going to be what Julian is trying to do in response to this. Whether he's going to try and kill that tower, or he's going to try and age himself. And just looking at the minimap here, he doesn't have a war hut going forward or anything like that, so it looks like it's probably going to be a fast fortress from him as well. And he'll have to be going probably into those musket riders early on to defend against those falconets.
Yeah, well, the notorious thing about these outposts is if you don't deal with them, that Spanish attack is going to hit you extra hard. You know, it probably takes close to 30 to 40 seconds to walk out here with a pair of falconets. So by not addressing this outpost, you're really committing. But we do see an interesting age up option here. It's going to be the Admiral of the Ocean Sea coming through for Warsword. So something that we don't typically see, obviously on land maps. But if I remember correctly, it is a 400 wood as well as the Caravel that's going to be coming through. Correct me if that has been changed.
No, I believe that's correct. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense against Haudenosaunee with the fishing boats out at that dock. That Caravel is going to, you know, potentially kill a few of them and then force a reaction. Like, Julian will have to choose, basically, whether or not he's going to train some canoes to defend them, or if he's going to just give up the dock or give up the fish. The Caravel could just sit on those fish all day, and the fishing boats won't be able to do anything.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. Well, one of the things I want to talk about, have a look at how beautiful this herding is. We've got so many deer sitting underneath here. This is just absolutely perfect right now. And by the same token, over for Warsword, he had a really nice setup as well, but a lot of food sitting underneath this. Now, one of the factors that we also need to consider is that there's going to be 2 falconets barreling down the hatches very, very shortly in this base. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we've had a disconnect coming through from Julian, so we're going to be re-hosting the game very shortly. Please bear with us while we wait, but don't be surprised if you do see him tap out in the next 20 to 30 seconds.
I was wondering why he was floating enough resources to go industrial. Thinking maybe he was forgetting which age he was in. That makes sense. That's unfortunate, but yeah, we will be jumping right back into the game.
You know, Mito, I'll just say this. I'm just happy that Age of Empires 3 has got a function where you can restore a game. I know that it's not perfect. We saw that happen last night where things, you know, there was a DC and there was a bit of an issue that was raised. Jaeger Cheer said that the aura from the not the dojo, from the what's the big age up called? I can't remember the name. It's been so long. But anyway, mentioned that it doesn't work perfectly, but it still works relatively well in most cases. So it's great that Age of Empires 3's got that. I definitely know there are other games that don't, and you can imagine it's a pretty important feature, especially when you're coming through for, you know, a big tournament like this, $9,000 on the line. That's important.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to be starting from the save on this one. We will be starting from the save, it looks like. I'm wondering kind of like where that's going to leave Julian, though, because like we saw towards the end of that game that he was floating a lot of resources. His age up was pretty late. I guess it depends on whose save game they end up using. So if
All right, so give us a bit of time, guys. So we're just going to be waiting to work out. Hopefully, it all works seamlessly. Apparently, there is a bit of an issue that can happen sometimes where the game will start, but we won't be able to cast it. At least that's my understanding. Not 100% sure. So everybody, get your Darugas out. Make sure you're praying, and hopefully, we get ourselves a special game that we can watch. All right. Well, we'll let you know. We'll let you know soon. Anyway, Mito, we got a long night ahead of us. I've got a beverage in front of me. Have you got one in front of you?
I have some water, but a long night, you say? I just woke up.
Wait, hold on. You got water in front of you for an 18-game night, mate? You're gonna need something heavier than water.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to put myself out just yet.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. All right, you can save the Red Bulls for a little bit later. I'll allow it. Well, I've got an energy drink in front of me. It's currently 1:40 in the morning, so I suspect I might need a couple more of these. But yeah, hopefully we'll be heading back into the second game shortly. Now, worst case scenario, do we just restart it and tell the players, all right, you guys are going to do the exact same strategies? Is that the worst case scenario?
It's a tough one. I'm not sure exactly what you do in that situation. It's no solution is going to be perfect to a disconnect, unfortunately. So it could be that they just replay the matchup, and worst case scenario is someone gets blind countered with their strategy based on what the other person saw in the previous game. But we'll have to see. We'll have to hope that the save and restore works out, and that we have a game that plays out as it should have all along.
All right. Well, hopefully things will get sorted. We're still waiting to hear from it, but yeah, we continue waiting. All right, so we're just hearing now from the tournament admin that the players are still determining whether they're going to go from the same save game or whether they're going to go from or start again. I would feel like you'd probably be okay with either of them, realistically, because there was nothing too pivotal that happened in that game, Mito. Like, there was no Explorer deaths, there was no TP denies, there was no treasure steals. Like, if you came into that and you're like, okay, we're just going to play it again from the beginning, you just kind of shrug your shoulders and be like, okay. And at the same time, if you were like, okay, we're going to load it up again, you just shrug your shoulders and be like, okay. Like, you wouldn't really mind, would you? Like, it didn't seem like there was anything too crazy.
Yeah, it sounds like they are going to do the rematch, and yeah, as you said, I mean, not a lot had really happened in that game that could have determined the outcome. The big thing is just that now they're a little bit more aware of like what kind of build order their opponent is going to be going for, and that could change the way they play things slightly. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
I think it can also lend into mind gaming as well, because obviously the Haudenosaunee is the one who's got the power in this matchup, at least initially. They've got the agency. They determine what's going to happen, how it's going to play out. And so Julian, he's scouted the outpost. He knows roughly where that outpost is going to go. Most times where it's going to go. But he could look to potentially throw, an ace from out of his sleeve and look to potentially deny that. By the same token, Warsword knows that. So does he play differently now, knowing that the Haudenosaunee player is going to have a rematch here? And so now that's what he's thinking. So I think that it's definitely favorable for Julian. Once again, it should be good for him because Warsword's going to have to really start doing the math behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, it is good for Julian, but I think for Spain, you don't really maybe care too much what your opponent does. Like with Spain, you kind of just you can commit to that fast fortress play kind of regardless of the situation and just adapt to it. So at least from his point of view, maybe he doesn't have to think about it too much, and maybe from Julian's point of view, he could end up overthinking things and going for some kind of plan that he's not as comfortable with or not as likely to succeed with.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to be diving into the game very, very shortly. We see that players are about to enter the lobby. Got some. And a big shout out goes through to Michael. Thank you very much for the $3, mate. Very, 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 very thankful, mate. Keep it up. We're working towards that 10K. It's a long grind, but we'll get there. All right. We're diving in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the re-up. This is the second game, the second attempt at the second game that we've got. The first game was unfortunately a DC for Julian on this map. So we're replaying the map from the very beginning. So things are going to start off slowly and they'll get a little bit more hectic. But spawning in over on the east side, playing in the color red as the Haudenosaunee, we've got Julian K. And on the west side of the map, playing in the blue as the Spanish, it's Warsword. All right, Mitoe. So we talked a little bit earlier in the last game, before the lobby, about this matchup. The Haudenosaunee. This is the civilization that's got the agency in this matchup. They're going to determine how this plays out. If they want to fight in the second age, they're going to be able to do that. I mean, already we're seeing everything look quite similar. We're seeing the first trading post coming down for our Spanish player. We're also seeing the dock come down as well for the Haudenosaunee player. So nothing at all different from that game.
Yeah, that's true. It looks like both players are going to be going for a similar plan. Nice thing for Warsword this time around is that he does find that 45 wood treasure right next to the TP. So that's going to help him out in his early house just a little bit and potentially speed up that age up a little bit, which could be pretty nice for him as he gets that 700 coin earlier in the second age. And then that could mean that his fortress age is a little bit more... a little bit faster as well. I was going to say more quick, but that doesn't really work as a phrase.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, we've got everything going standard so far. But I mean, when are you not shipping 3 vills? Same decks coming through for both players as well. Once again, we're going to see that War Chief card coming out in the first age. But we hear the beautiful sound of the dock. Oh my lord, Mitoe. There's nothing that takes me back to like the best times of my life than that sound right there. I remember.
Oh, you're a water lamer.
I am a water lamer through and through. I just remember playing team games 3v3, telling Braden, like, hey, buddy, you look after the land. I'm going to do a big boy boat boom over here. You ship your schooners, and that's just that sound ringing in your ear 100 times. There's nothing more beautiful than it.
And with everyone, you're like, I feel so much more powerful.
It really is. Oh, gosh. They were the days. That sound is just beautiful. Hopefully we stay on Julian's perspective all game and get to listen to that beautiful sound. But he's already picked up a couple of treasures so far, so things going well for him. He's going to be looking to age up. The 3 vills are in. So one of the things to note, and this is something that you talked about, is that there is the potential that Julian may have his trading post denied here by the Spanish player. Now, we didn't see that in the first of this game on this map, but we may look to see it here, because one of the things that Warsword has now got in this second game, he's got a bit more information about what the Haudenosaunee player is going to do. Because the agency is with the Haudenosaunee, the question is, what are they going to do? Are they going to look to play it in H2? Are they going to look to play it in H3? Well, now he's got information. It's probably going to be an H3 focus.
Yeah, and you know, if he does see that trading post going down around a similar time as last game, and does have the food available for those war dogs, yeah, it could be a big problem for Julian. But his explorer is pretty far away from that trading post at the moment, and Julian's going to be aging up right now himself. Those villagers getting onto wood, so he's probably going to be able to get this trading post down just fine with how far away these explorers are from each other.
Yeah, his explorer's also got a fair bit more health as well. He's got 100 health extra, and he's also got a couple of friends hanging out for the moment as well. I guess he's probably conscious of the fact that Warsword may look to deny this, but keeps them close by. Look at this. You can see he's got the little force of guardians just guarding quite well. But we do see the explorer for the Spanish player now moving across the map as well. We're going to try and find out a bit more information. We'll have a look at his perspective and see exactly what he sees over here as his explorer is in the middle of the map looking to pick up a treasure. So yeah, we can see he's really yet to gather too much information about the map just yet.
Yeah, it's interesting that this time he chose not to go for that second trading post. And instead, he's just collecting the resources he needs to advance to the next stage. And maybe he'll grab that second trading post with 700 wood, or maybe he won't grab it at all. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see indeed. All right, well, the age up going to be coming through. It is the governor coming through for the Spanish player, of course. We'll take a look at the Haudenosaunee and see exactly what we've got through for them. It is going to be, the age up is going to be the chief coming through. But the explorer is now meeting in the middle of the map. Wardog out and about looking to scrap and find something. But players separating, going their own ways. We hear the fishing boats still coming out. Villager population starting to improve. Got how many villagers have we got here for Julian? We can see he's up to 18 villagers at the moment, so pretty decent economy. But compare that over to the other side, 15 for our Spanish player.
And that number is going to be growing a little bit more even. I believe the chief gives you 3 villagers, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed,
yeah, so he's up to 21 villagers now, so a significant lead at this stage in the game already. But of course, we can't discount the fact that Spain does have an easier time acquiring shipments, which does add to the strength of their economy. So it's not quite as lopsided as it seems right now.
Yes, that's exactly it. But we do also have 5 vills coming through for the Haudenosaunee as well, so that's going to pump them up to from 21 to 26. And keep in mind, he's obviously got the dock working overtime as well. But there's always a point where any good water boom must come to an end. And typically, it's going to be quite early here for the Haudenosaunee, needing to focus a bit more on infrastructure. You know, it becomes a lot less relevant. Those fishing boats are very good in the early game, but as the game goes on, it becomes less and less relevant because you've got so many land villages.
Yep, looks like Warsword taking one of those guardians down with him. A good use of that crack shot cooldown, especially at this stage of the game, before those units have been able to contribute to any fights. Just getting to pick away at those before they can have an impact on those early engagements in Fortress Age is going to be nice for him. Now, the thing I'm curious about Warsword is how his build is going to work this time without that second trading post, because we can see that he sent capitalism, but if we look at his shipments right now, he's almost halfway up to Fortress, and he's not quite got a shipment ready for 5 villagers, so he might choose to skip 5 villagers this game and save that shipment for something a bit more aggressive, whereas last game I think he would have been able to do both.
Yeah, on top of that, he's also lost his Explorer, which for the Spanish, it's never a good thing. Now, obviously, as soon as he ages up, he's going to grab a little bit more health, and the health pool, be able to wake that bad boy back up. But still, it's not something that, you know, it's not ideal. Let's just put it that way. But we've got the Admiral of the Ocean Sea coming through once again. And can we take a look over at the base of Warsword? I want to have a look at the top side of his base. He's got a lot of blue dots on that shoreline. I'm starting to think, is there a potential that we've got a dock coming up over here? Not quite, just a few villages out here. I guess realistically, he doesn't really need one, does he? The caravel's going to be more than enough to punish old Julian K.
Yeah, I think the plan isn't to kill the dock with this caravel, unless Julian allows him to do that. But the plan is really just to force a reaction from Julian and do a little bit of damage. Or maybe just get a lot of idle time on those fishing boats. Either way, it'll be worth it for him for sure. If Julian has to make like 3 or 4 canoes to defend this, and it could help his little push here. It looks like he was sending 5 villagers, but he decided to actually cancel that. And now he's going to be sending Rodoleros as his first shipment.
Very interesting. So probably going to be skirms coming out of these
nope.
barracks?
Now it's 1,000 wood.
Okay,
so
interesting.
A little bit indecisive, maybe coming up with things on the fly. But that's probably going to be for Stagecoach. He's adding a second trading post now. He's walking these musketeers down to the trading post on the south here. And he'll be grabbing Stagecoach with that 1,000 wood, and possibly even a second town center, or maybe just a veteran upgrade on these musketeers. And now, yeah, the caravel's out on those fishing boats. It's going to be sieging, or killing a lot of those fishing boats. It looks like at least one fishing boat went down. The others have managed to escape into that dock.
Now, he's fortunate in that he's got a relatively close fishing spawn to this dock, and I think he's left it available intentionally in the event that this happens. The dock going to be looking to exchange out fire there with the caravel for the moment. Now, interestingly, we've also got some walls coming up from Julian. Now, one of the things to note, obviously, Julian, a natural treaty player. So one of the things that comes natural to treaty players, it's walling. So I look at these walls and I'm like, ooh, do we have a fast industrial coming out here? No, we don't. This is par for the course when you're talking about a treaty player. But look, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing at all, but we've got some early musket pressure moving out. I'm going to try and take down the Haudenosaunee Explorer. Kanya, was that Kanya or musket? Actually, I think those are muskets, aren't they? It's hard for me to tell here. I'm trying my best.
Those are muskets, yeah. And so he's going to have to back up on this trading post here. So the Stagecoach isn't quite going to work out for him by the looks of things, and he's lost quite a few muskets now to these forest prowlers. and Julian just doing such a good job of making sure that he's walking forward in between every volley, making sure he gets as many musketeers down as possible, and things are looking actually very tough for Warsword now.
Yeah, that dock does go down though, so a little victory there, but we begin to see the Falconets coming out. This is where it gets tough. You know, dealing with these Falconets as the Haudenosaunee is always a little bit difficult. Something we were talking about earlier. There's a number of ways that you can deal with it, but the most likely way that we expect for Julian to deal with it is just going to be by massing up Musket Riders.
Yeah, the Musket Riders are going to be the key unit for Haudenosaunee in this matchup, but it looks like he's actually gone for 6 Kanya as his second batch, and he's trained 5 Kanya as well, it looks like. So that's an interesting decision, considering that we've seen a lot of heavy infantry so far from Spain, but you mentioned it earlier that it might be a good option against the Falconets with that bonus damage. And they are also going to give him a lot of mobility on the map to potentially do some raids.
Yeah, that's true. They do offer quite a bit more mobility there as well. A little bit more, bit more raiding potential. I'm curious to see whether he looks to pick up the upgrade though. Obviously, it adds quite a bit, getting that upgrade through for the 3rd age. But the Caravel continuing to do work. So far, we've seen it's been a pretty decent game so far from Warsword. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. Looking to clean up this trading post on the south side. Falconet's doing well. He's got the veteran musket upgrade now coming through. Adding in a couple of Rodoleros as well, but really just sticking quite heavily with this infantry force. No sign of Lancers at all at this point, which is obviously a very nice unit here for the Spanish. But obviously, he knows how likely it is that there's going to be Musket Riders coming out. And, well, what's the point in getting Lancers out if your enemy's already got a giant mass of muskets? Musket Riders, rather.
Yeah, I think these Rodoleros are going to be very helpful here, especially against the Kanya Horsemen. Of course, he doesn't know that Julian has them yet, but protecting those Falcons is kind of the name of the game for Spain here, and the Rodoleros are going to do a better job of that than Lancers will. So, yeah, I think it's a good decision from him. He does have 5 Lancers coming from a shipment now. Not a bad thing to diversify a little bit, and that will help him against the Forest Prowlers. Force the Musket Riders to maybe defend the Forest Prowlers rather than push up onto the Falconets. Or if they do push up onto the Falconets, maybe he can get a good surround on the Forest Prowlers.
Yeah, that's always going to be a decent way for him to approach it. He's got to be careful with these Falconets, though. One of the things that people always love to do is they creep up with these Falconets, but if you leave your protective infantry a little bit too far away, well, you're going to get yourself in a bad spot. But Skirm's moving up. He's looking to try and get a shot off on those Forest Prowlers. Let's see how he goes right here. Manages to take out 2. It's a decent volley. Gets off some pretty decent AoE damage there on the rest of them as well. Obviously, you want to soften up the rest of them so that when it comes out. But now the Kanya Horseman moving around from that south side at the same time. Musket Rider's getting off a pretty decent volley. Lancer shipment has come through. The Falconets get a decent shot off on the back. But now the Kanya are going to be making it through the midst of the battle. The first Falconet's gone down. The second one going to be coming up short as well. Good night, sweet prince. But now all of a sudden the Spanish Lance is looking to continue hitting down the infantry of his enemy. The War Chief may be going down as the Lancers continue with their stabby sticks, and indeed they do, plus 100. And all of a sudden, Haudenosaunee looking like, how the hell are you going to hold this push? Spain looking incredible here, Mitoe.
Yeah, an absolutely stellar fight for Warsword there. He managed to bait Julian in with the Falconets, and it worked out wonderfully for him. I loved the way he positioned his army too. Like, he just had the Falconets off in the middle by themselves, but he had his army off on both sides so he could spot for flanks and collapse really easily on those units if they went in, and that he did, and it worked out well for him.
Impressive stuff there. I mean, realistically, from Julian's perspective, I feel like he did everything right. You know, he ticked off all the boxes. Beautiful flank. He took out the first Falconet at range. Second Falconet was handled pretty well. But I guess the question comes in, you know, you mentioned earlier in the game that your suspicion would be that he's going to focus more heavily on Musket Riders. We didn't see that. Did that potentially harm him in the end?
It could have. Those Kanya Horsemen definitely didn't have as much of an impact as I think he would have liked. I can't remember exactly, but I think they were kind of tied up fighting the Rodoleros a little bit, and that's not what you want them to be doing. But I mean, at the same time, I think Julian kind of missed a couple of opportunities here in early Fortress, especially after he cleaned up some of those musketeers. He had the military lead, he had the mobility advantage, and his opponent was just slowly sieging the trading post at the south of the map, like maybe there was something he could have done with those Kanya and the musket riders. With that mobility, he could have maybe cut off some reinforcements, tried to catch a shipment as it was popping out from the tower, or killed some villagers or something, and that maybe could have put him in the lead. But unfortunately for him, he just waited a little bit too long. Warsword managed to get the army he needed in a fantastic position.
All right, well, we're going to be moving into the third game very, very soon. The matchup is going to be Julian K on the Maltese and Warsword on the United States. Obviously, a fan favorite, the Maltese, but I know you, Mitoe. I know you love the United States. It is a civilization that I guess we're both passionate about. I'm looking forward to this matchup. How does this matchup play? Have you got much idea on how this matchup goes?
Oh, this matchup in particular, I'm not 100% sure of. I know Malta is a slower civ. They tend to like to go for the greedier play with the long-term scaling, with their passive shipment bonus, giving all their units HP, and the bonus. I can't remember what the name of the card is. The one that gives them the aura around their outposts and the commanderies and the town centers. And the United States, I think it's potentially a really tough matchup for Malta, actually, because the United States can do some really aggressive fast fortresses with the Spanish immigrants and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I suspect that's probably going to be the way that he goes. Spanish immigrants, obviously, an incredibly diverse card, enables you to sort of leverage that XP, but at the same time call spearmen, or rather, sorry, pikemen. I do apologize to all of the Age of Empires 3 players out there. I did make a little mistake there, spearmen. All right, we made it an hour without saying it, Mitoe, but that's all right. We'll get it next time.
I'm sorry to tell you, but you did also call the Industrial Age the Imperial Age earlier.
I corrected myself.
Okay, sure. If you say so. It did happen, but
did I actually?
You did. It was in the Italy game.
Oh my gosh. Maybe I was really talking about the Imperial Age. We never know.
It's okay. Just like Azemk said, we don't have many AoE 3 players watching, so don't worry. They didn't notice.
That's all right. I'm sure they'll turn up for the grand finals. That's always the way it goes. You gotta warm them up with something a little bit spicy. But
I'm not gonna lie. I've been very guilty of calling the Commerce Age the Feudal Age lately.
Yeah, well, hey, look, we're old schoolers, so it's hard wrapping your head around the Commerce Age as well. I'm so used to it being the Colonial Age.
Yeah, I often catch myself halfway through saying that, and I'm just like the Commerce Age? Question mark.
Don't even get me started on plantations and estates. Oh my lord, I was looking through the cards yesterday, and I'm like, oh yeah, plenty of plantation upgrades. I'm like, wait, estate upgrades. I got to get this right, But yes. We now wait for the third game in the series. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already bet, then make sure you put your money where your mouth is. I can see there's plenty of channel points at the moment on the line. Is it going to be Julian K on the Maltese? Is it going to be Warsword on the United States? Mitoe, who are you betting for?
I got to bet on Warsword here, but I don't know if I should. Last game, I bet 89,000 points on Julian, and I'm missing 89,000 points now, suspiciously.
All right. Well, if you vote for Julian and I vote for Warsword, I feel like that's a win-win situation, right? No, actually, hold on. That's not gonna work, is it? All right. Well, we'll be diving into
I already bet the remaining 320 points to my name on Warsword, so I could be broke pretty soon.
Oh, don't do me like this. You can't be going all in.
What's 320 points if you've already lost 89,000? I mean, come on.
That's it. That's true. Yeah. All right. I'm impressed. You've gone all in twice in one night, and you're still here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be diving in to the third game in the series. The map is going to be Lithuania, and now we head on in, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to game number 3. Welcome to Lithuania. Spawning in on the south side of the map, playing as the United States. We've got Warsword in the color red. And on the north side of the map, playing as the Maltese in the color blue, it's Julian K. Now, Mito, you talked a little bit earlier about this matchup. You think that the United States has got the advantage here. Let's talk a little bit about why that is. Obviously, Maltese a little bit more slow than United States. I remember back in the day, they used to be slow. And then people worked out, well, hold on a minute. What if I ship pikes? And all of a sudden, things start to get wild. So what do you expect to see in this matchup?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned before the game, I think Malta is a pretty slow civilization, and I think something they really struggle dealing with is early fortress pressure in particular, especially with civs that can get things like falconets, or in this case, Gatling guns. And I can't see like an easy way for Malta to deal with that in this matchup. US has a very like strong fast fortress into the Gatling guns and a really good follow-up behind it as well. So it's going to be tricky. We could potentially see a different strategy out of Malta. Like maybe they try to go for some kind of aggressive crossbow pike or something, but that's a really uncommon strategy in comparison to the normal German tongues second shipment into the... I'm going to have to relearn the name of this card. What is it called? The Wignacourt constructions?
Yes, yes.
So I imagine that's probably what we'll see out of Malta, and I'm just not sure how it's going to work out against the US.
All right. Yeah, well, I guess the one thing I think of is like, well, state militia, they're going to do very well against that sort of crossbow pike rush. And it's, you know, especially when they've got long rifles. I'm just thinking right now, like 3 CDB, 700 wood, 8 state militia, long rifles. So for me, that's kind of like ruled that out of the equation. But we do see some interesting cards here as well. We've got the bank wagon in Age 1.
Yeah, instead of Spanish immigrants. So we might not see a fast fortress at all from United States in this game, in which case Malta might be feeling a little bit more comfortable as the game might go on a little bit longer. But we'll have to wait and see. We're not sure exactly what Warsword's going to be able to do with that bank wagon.
All right, well, we continue moving forward. 2.5 minutes into the game, players have got their shipments through so far. Explorers at the moment down on this south side. Now, this map has got an interesting amount of trade posts. So we've got 6 TPs on this map, and it feels like quite a small map to have 6 TPs on. It's going to be a large part of the fighting. Are you expecting that we're going to see one civilization in particular look to try and take control of the trading posts? Obviously, in the last game, we saw Spain. That's a civilization that loves to take those trading posts here, but I can't help but feel like it's not going to be a super large focus.
No, I can't really see them being that impactful on this map, especially in this matchup. Maybe if we saw like Chinese immigrants in the United States deck or something like that, it could have been a factor. But I'm not even sure that you can build the last trading post on either of these lines close to your opponent and get stagecoach with that. So yeah, I don't really expect it to be a big factor in this game.
Definitely part of the reason why they've opted for those civilizations on this map. You see Spain on the maps where they've got access to the whole trading line, but as soon as you've got a trading post that you can't take, oh, don't even think about the Spanish here. But we've got a lot of villagers moving onto that gold mine right now. So you talked about the possibility that it's probably not a fast fortress. Well, hold on a minute, Mito. It looks like... I think
that's just got to be for the bank wagon, right?
Right. Let's see. Let's see what he does. But yes, indeed, it could be the bank wagon that he looks to go for. Bank wagon, obviously an old favorite. One of the advantages of having the bank wagon is that it obviously costs a huge amount of XP to send a shipment. But when the bank wagon arrives and you build the bank, you're going to essentially get a refund or a rebate on that because the bank provides so much experience with you, kind of powers you through to that next shipment.
That's true. You do get a decent amount of XP from the bank. Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, a fast fortress isn't completely off the table. It's a little bit faster with the Spanish immigrants, for sure. It can be a little bit more aggressive with that XP trickle and the forward tower. But it's still doable, for sure.
All right, well, the second age has come through. Not too bad of a timing here. It's going to be the governor that he's gone with. 700 gold. Going to be on the way here as well for our United States player. So it is indeed going to be that fast fortress. So not going to be opting for the bank wagon. We do see the barracks
You win
coming
this
down.
one, Drongo.
Virginia State coming, or Virginia General Assembly coming through. Now, this card, obviously, it's been changed. It's been moved into the realm of everybody gets to play with it, and not just Virginia. Back in the old days, it used to be just Virginia that got this, and obviously was an incredibly good card, and a lot of strategy was structured around this. But here we see the cards have been switched up. We've still gone for Virginia, though. Culpeper Minutemen going to be coming out as an option. And there's a new card here, one that I'm not familiar with, so hopefully we're going to hover over it. I'm just going to get to read it to see what it actually does, because I've got no idea. Let's have a look at the first card, the very first card in the deck. Yeah, there we go. Virginia plan. Upon arrival, this card grants you 2 shipments to spend. Well, that sounds nice, doesn't it? Jeez Louise. Yeah, I'll take that. I guess that... Yeah, all right. That's an interesting card. I like that a lot. Well,
Yeah,
we've
that
got
could be
the
interesting
age up coming through.
Sorry.
I was going to say, well, we've got Kentucky coming through, so that tells us a little bit about what he wants to do. It's going to be that sharpshooter. Is that what we're going to be seeing here today?
I think so, yeah. It looks like that's going to be an option for him. Looks like the state capital is going up now. That's going to give him a decent amount of experience. And he is going up to the next stage right now as well. He's already shipping that card we were just talking about, the Virginia plans. That's going to grant him the 2 shipments as soon as he hits up. And yeah, he could potentially be very aggressive here. He doesn't have a forward tower, so Gatling guns or anything else he chooses to ship is going to have to walk across the map to harass the Maltese player here. And yeah, meanwhile, nothing unexpected here from Julian. He's just kind of gone with the standard start with the 3 villagers into the German tongues. I suspect he's probably got Wignacourt on the way as well, and he's just going to be booming and trying to defend here.
All right, well, the first units begin moving out. You can see it's just going to be a handful of infantry for the moment. Another house going to be going down. Interestingly, we don't see Wignacourt coming through just yet. It was German tongue into 700 gold by the looks of it. Yeah,
Okay,
there we go.
Okay, he's actually on his way up to the Fortress Age. So he's going to be delaying that that boom a little bit just to make sure that he can match the Gatling guns in the Fortress Age.
But very
I like
heavy
that
on
decision.
gold here, Mitoe. What's this all about?
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess he's probably going to be going for some kind of mercenary shipment in the next stage here. I can't recall exactly which mercenaries Maltese have available to him. Okay, it's going to be, yeah, probably the armored pistoliers or the panders. I'm not sure exactly what the panders do. I'm sorry, but the pistoliers can be really strong. They're really tanky, and they can definitely be very annoying to try and kill. And yeah, fixed gun going up now as well. What do you know about the fixed gun, Drongo?
I know that it's a gun, and I know that it's fixed, those are 2 very good things. I know about the fixed gun, that it is an absolute beast. It should be a pretty effective way at defending this. I'm curious, how did the Gatling gun stack up against the fixed gun? Because I feel like it's not going to be particularly well.
Yeah, I think... Well, yeah, the fixed gun is not very good against other artillery. It has quite a heavy negative multiplier, so it's not going to be super effective against the Gatling guns, but the Gatling guns might never be able to approach it with that long range. And the interesting thing about the fixed gun is that it can help him defend quite well in the early Fortress Age here, and then once he's feeling comfortable, he can simply refund the fixed gun for 100% of its cost.
That sounds like a pretty good deal. I'll take 2. There we go. Just deconstruct this fixed gun. All right. Well, we see more shipments coming through. It looks like it's going to be 1,000 wood on the way for Julian K. Down towards the base. We see more infantry just patrolling around for the moment. The United States Explorer with his flag. He's looking very freedom-orientated today, but Julian looking to explore, unfortunately, might be coming to the wrong neighborhood. Heads back to the other side of the map for now. You see more and more units beginning to come out. So we've got let's take a look and see what we've got here. So we've got an artillery foundry coming down. So I'm assuming that's going to be for Culverin to try and deal with the fixed gun.
Yeah, the fixed gun, I believe, does have an artillery tag on it, so Culverins are pretty good against it, so that's probably what the option is here, yeah.
All right, well, a town center also going to be coming out from as well. He's got that state capital ready to provide plenty of wagons. Yeah, that fixed gun's quite expensive, isn't it? 100 wood, 600 gold. So that is a hefty figure. Settler wagons also in construction at the moment. So we've got that pseudo town center. This is one of the things I used to love about Germantown farmers for the Germans. Now, this was never really the meta in 1v1, but in team games especially, it was very strong because you could get that boom really rolling with your Germantown farmers. And it's going to be the same thing here for our Maltese player, at least for a couple of settler wagons.
It's a good thing to mix in every once in a while. Yeah, it looks like Warsword isn't too hasty to push in here, though. He's got that second TC going up in the middle of the map now. He's starting to build that economy up, and he's not in any hurry to try and push into the Maltese base. He probably suspects that there's a fixed gun there, doesn't want to take that fight before he's ready, as we saw that artillery foundry going up. He does have the culverins out now, though, so we could see the push coming right now, potentially.
All right, well, here we go. The culverin are out, so 2 culverins should be more than enough to deal with this, beginning to push through. It's going to be difficult at the same time for Julian to actually respond in the culverin moving forward. Look at how bold these culverin are. They give absolutely no fucks right now. Getting off a couple of shots on that fixed gun. We're going to try and take it down. It's still standing strong and steadfast, but the cannon shoots, takes out a couple of units here. But at the same time, the Gatling gun's looking quite strong. And look at that bombard shot coming out. Jeez Louise, that boy is thick, isn't he? Now looking to fire down on the infantry, getting out some pretty decent shots back there. Still, we see the culverin doing work, or at least trying to do work here. And finally, the fixed gun is going to be going down.
Yeah, I did manage to take out 1 Gatling gun, though, so that's not bad. Oh, and the 2 Hussars coming out right in the perfect spot to get on top of those Gatling guns. And that's going to be really good for Julian there. However, I mean, there is an artillery foundry still up for Warsword. He could just replace those Gatling guns and push again.
All right, well, the Gatling gun does finally go down, but it feels like he's committed quite a lot to take it out. If there's any more Gatling guns that follow this up, it could be very difficult for him to maintain this. He's lost a lot of units now, and Julian definitely on the back foot. You mentioned earlier that Malta, a civilization that is really a bit slow to get started, and we can see that now as a second and a third fixed gun is coming up. But the question is going to be whether it's able to come up in time to save him from this position.
Yeah, it looks like it's actually going to be 1 fixed gun. He did cancel the initial placement on that one. Felt like it was a little bit too close to the culverins for comfort. Now those culverins are going to have to commit to standing underneath the commandery before they can kill that fixed gun. So that's going to buy him quite a bit more time. But yeah, things are looking tough for Malta at this point.
Yeah, I think the question is going to be whether that fixed gun's able to hold on. But I tell you what, it's an impressive unit, isn't it? It's just, it knows how to... It knows how to mess with people. Let's just put it that way. It's so difficult to deal with as well because you're going to be fighting under this outpost, under the town center. But we see Warsword instead saying, well, that's fine. You can keep your expensive gun in the back of your base, mate. I'll just start sieging down the rest of it. All right, well, he looks to continue trying to hold on. The crossbow's getting off some decent little volleys there. Culverin looking to try and take them out, but obviously not doing a whole lot of damage. See Wignacourt finally coming through. It's a little bit late, but hey, better late than never. Now he's out onto the berry, so gets that nice extra little bit of production bonus. Or a little bit of a villager gather rate.
Yeah, that's not really the shipment you want to be sending in this situation, though. Maybe there was nothing better, but it's not looking good. Like, that card's going to take a long time to pay off. He is training culverins right now. He didn't finish the batch. He actually missed the second culverin there, so he's going to still have to worry about these 2 culverins slowly picking away at the base. Actually, 1 culverin's at 1 HP, though.
Yeah, he should be okay with this. As long as he's able to get off his shot, I mean, it's tough, right? Because typically culverins have got a beautiful turning angle, so they're just able to get their shots off immediately, and he looks to try and take out that culverin, but it still does stay alive. Oh, he gets the... Oh, my lord, it's beautiful, the alley-oop! He hits the second culverin and takes it out. Oh, that is the stuff dreams are made of right there, Mitoe.
That was really nice for him, yeah. I wonder if that was intentional, like if he intentionally targeted the units there, hoping that the bounce would kill the culverin. If it was, that's a masterstroke from Julian there. He's still got 1 culverin to contend with, though, and now Gatling guns behind it.
Look, he's one of the best treaty players in the game. I'm going to say that is 100% intentional right there. Almost, like, there's no doubt in my mind that was 100% intentional. That's how good this guy is. All right, well, second culverin's out on the field. It'll bolster up the anti-artillery over on that northern side. Villager count at the moment looking pretty even, 45 up against 43. At least I'm hoping that I'm looking at the right thing at the top of the screen there. Where's that second town center at? Shouldn't that be making villages? What's going on here? It is making vills, but I guess the villager count just not looking the best for Warsword at the moment. Perhaps we missed a raid when we weren't looking.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. I don't think that there was any cavalry out for Julian to raid with. So it could just be that he wasn't keeping up production as much as he needed to be. Or maybe he was housed for a while, didn't notice it. These kind of things can happen, especially when you're under your opponent's base and you're trying to make sure you don't lose your cannons.
All right, Mitoe, I know that you're a fan of seesaws, in particular because of their balance. You know, it's great for training the core muscles. Now, I want to know what you think about the balance of this next shipment that's about to arrive. 22 sharpshooters coming in hot. How do you feel about this one?
It's a bit weak.
It's a bit weak.
Look,
yeah, I think we should up those. Those are rookie numbers. Let's buff those up. Well, this is looking a little bit scarier right now. Warsword pushing out with a huge mass of sharpshooters. He's going to be looking to try and take down the enemy explorer as it begins moving in towards the back line, trying to get a melee attack off. Unsuccessful, managing to take out the Gatling gun. Still one does remain. The Covenant's looking to try and trade out. Looks like they're going to be successful for the most part, but those sharpshooter numbers looking incredibly difficult to deal with. Look at how strong these guys are.
Yeah, that's crazy good for him right now. Tough spot for Julian to be in. He does have 1,000 coin in the bank, so it is going to be mercenaries coming in behind this. That's going to be his attempt to hold here, but he's losing a lot of crossbows in the meantime. Maybe taking a fight that he doesn't need to take.
I got a question. Where's that fixed gun at? Could you imagine if the fixed gun had unfixed itself and fixed itself up towards this town center? Things would be looking a lot more fresh, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it would definitely be helping a lot here, but now it's in range. It does take out 3 sharpshooters with that one volley. Can't complain about that.
I feel like one of the big things Julian didn't focus on was fighting with that. Had he fought with it and sort of leveraged the power that it had, things might have gone a little bit differently for him. But a nice little raid coming up towards that north side, going to be forcing villagers off food. It's going to make it really tough for Julian to hold this position because he's down on economy, he's down on military, and I mean, he's down on scaling as well. The longer this game goes, 2 TCs up against 1, and obviously the United States, once they hit through to that industrial age, state militia are just going to be an absolute difficulty to deal with.
Drongo, I just realized we've been fools. We criticized his villager count, but Malta's been training settler wagons.
Oh, wait, does this not show, does it show villager pop or villagers?
I am not 100% sure, actually. Probably villager population.
Yeah, in which case our criticism is indeed warranted and accurate, but otherwise it is not. But yeah, if it does show Vilpop, then he is indeed quite a bit behind. And he's fallen behind quite a lot because it was only 3 or 4 minutes ago that we were talking about the fact that Warsword hadn't been training villagers the entire time. You know, he'd been twiddling his thumbs for a little bit, but he seems to have pulled him out of his, well, where the sun don't shine, and he is focusing on that villager training, that's for sure.
Yeah, it looks like now we've got the Ulans coming in for the United States now, and I really can't see a way that Malta deals with this easily. That's like, he's got a lot of exposed villagers, and he's also basically got no anti-cav out right now. And and his army, he just exposed his army to try and take out these villagers. These Ulans are going to be devastating.
All right, GG in 3, 2, 1. You don't mess with these Chapka Ulans. They are so damn strong. And now going to be able to catch a whole bunch of infantry out over on this north side of the map. It's really going to get tough. And now all of a sudden the snare going to be coming through, slowing everything down. The infantry in tow ready to try and take it out. We can see Julian trying his best to micro through. Obviously, the Ulans a lot less health than your typical cavalry unit, but they got plenty of attack, and they just slice through the military here. Julian in absolute shambles, and now that infantry going to be able to come up on top of it. We see an outpost has come up, but he's going to need at least a fixed gun. He's probably going to need 2 up here to hold this. It's not looking good for him right now.
No, and that's going to be the game. He had to push out with those units. He saw the villagers and he was like, it's my only chance. I have to kill something. I have to do some damage. And unfortunately, it was the final nail in the coffin.
Well, very interesting play style there from Julian. The fact that he looked to leverage that fixed gun, but then at the same time ignored it for a large part of that later stage of the game. We can see on the graphs now that the villager population was pretty close throughout that. So, you know, things were looking relatively good for him early on, but then obviously the second TC really kicked in.
Yeah, it's tough with the fixed gun, like you said. Like he could have refunded it and placed it a little bit more forward. But if you do that at the wrong time and your opponent pushes you and it gets denied, what do you do then? So it's a tough situation. You either hold on to it and hope that it works out, or you replace it and risk that 30-second window where you could get punished.
Yeah, it's a pretty big window, isn't it? All right, well, we'll be moving into game 4 shortly. Warsword looking very strong in this series. Obviously, went down in the first game in that Italy mirror, but now come through to this 4th game. He's going to be feeling pretty comfortable considering he's up in this series 2-1.
Yeah, he was looking a bit rough in that first game, but as we were talking about, that first game really played into Julian's strengths. And now that the games are focused a bit more in the early game, it seems like Warsword's got some good builds, and he's playing quite well.
Yeah, he's looking very, very strong. All right, we'll be heading into game number 4 shortly. We'll keep you guys updated on it. It's the matchup. Oh, my lord. Hello. All right, I'm putting my money on Warsword. Ladies and gentlemen, our matchup for the 4th game for tonight. It's going to be Germans up against the Swedes. Get excited, Mitoe.
Oh, you've got to be happy to see Sweden.
Yeah. Look, I was a little bit worried. I saw comments in the Twitch chat about Sweden, and apparently they're not the strongest. You remember the glory days of Sweden, fast industrial at 10 minutes with an economy of 17 factories, pumping out heavy cannons and just doing Sweden things. Long gone those days. Yeah, the glory days.
I think glory is an understatement.
Oh, yeah. I remember one game I played. It was a 3v3 where I was playing Sweden, and I literally 3v1'd against like Hazard, Guigs, and Kanisi. It was like Sweden was a perfectly balanced civilization back then. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they're not as strong as they used to be. That's true, but they do have some situations and some builds that can be pretty strong. I'm not sure exactly what Warsword's going to go for this game, but how do you feel about the Sweden versus German matchup?
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. I do like this one. I played this one against Kaiser Klein once. I'll have you know I beat him.
Nice.
It's a decent matchup, and I think there's a lot of power here in the second age that's sort of not realized. Obviously, Sweden love to try and get up to that third age as quickly as possible, as long as there's an economy there, because they've got access to good shipments like the 2 Falcons. But we'll have to wait and see how he plays it, as we're going to be jumping in to our 4th game of this evening very, very shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 4th game of your Bronze Place series. Spawning in on the west side of the map in the color blue, playing as the Germans, it's Julian K. And on the east side of the map in the color red, playing as the Swedes, we've got Warsword. Mitoe, how you feeling about this matchup? We were talking a little bit about the game. I personally like this matchup. I think it's quite favored towards the Swedes if they focus on that second age, push that timing push. I don't know what the meta's like at the moment and whether that's still a viable option. At least it used to be back in the day. What's your preference? If you're coming into this matchup, who would you rather be here?
Oh, I'm not as familiar with Sweden as I am with Germany. So, I mean, personally, I would prefer to play Germany. But yeah, I think it's definitely a matchup that can go well for Sweden. The thing about Germany is that they have more potential to outplay with those early Ulans and trying to deny torps and stuff like that. And one thing that I think Germany has going for them on this map is the trading posts behind the base. Sweden doesn't normally go for the stagecoach very early, as they like to get out those torps as much as possible on those far-reaching gold mines. And that's going to mean he's not going to be able to take advantage of that as early as Germany will be able to.
That's true. One of the things to note on this map, though, is that there's very close gold mines to the base. So we can see that there's 2 very close to the base, and then one a little bit further away, one a little bit further away than that. But they're all very defensive, all very nice for Sweden. That's exactly what they want. Ideally 4 torps per gold mine. But another thing to note... Oh, yeah, go on.
Sorry, I was just saying, like, 2 of the the gold mines on his side of the map, though, look like they might be pretty close to trading posts or the TP line, so I'm not sure how easy those will be to torp.
He'll have to make sure that he puts his torp as close as he can to the trading post first. There's nothing worse than, they're fine. That's easy. I could fit 7 torps around that one.
Yeah, that one looks good.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine for that one. We'll check on the top side, though, and see the second trading post, because there's another gold mine that spawned up right next to that one as well. And so there we go. Where is it? Oh, God, I don't even... Oh, Lord.
That one's a bit tougher. Yeah. I don't know if you could fit 7 around that one.
I reckon if he gets 3, he'll be happy with that. 3, that's not too bad.
At least he gets a little bit of trees on one of those torps.
Yeah, exactly, right? You know, you got to focus on the positives. Now, one of the other things to note, and that I was looking at a little bit earlier, is in the middle of this map, we've got the battle dome. At least it feels that way, because you've got a giant amount of ice in the middle, and I'm going to assume, rightly so, that you can't build on this ice. You can't wall it. You can't build on it. It's like Arctic territories, you know, the edge of the map right there. You cannot wall it at all. And so, oh, hold on. What do we got? What do we got here? All resources gathered. There you go. You can already see the difference right here that the torps are making. Look at that. Get them out there, boys. But yeah, you got the battle dome in here. So it's basically like, I'll meet you in the middle at 14 minutes behind the back shed, and we'll fight it out.
Yeah, this map reminds me a lot of the some newer players may not be as familiar with this map, but the winter version of Great Lakes, kind of very similar to this, except there's no pond in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. It's open season in the middle. And interestingly, on Great Lakes, in the water or in the summer version, there's an island in the middle where the pond would normally be, and then when the winter version comes, the island is removed. I don't know what happens to the island, but
it just sinks, man.
It sinks. It's the classic. Yeah, it sinks, and there's water there. But yeah, we've now got the age ups coming through. We'll take a look and see what we've got for Julian K. I'm assuming it's going to be the quartermaster for him. Indeed, it is the quartermaster. You'd be surprised to see anybody take anything other than the quartermaster. Check in over on the other side of the map and see exactly what Warsword's up to. It's going to be the governor for him, so not opting for the settlers and the cows.
Yeah, that kind of signals to me that he's going for that aggressive option that you mentioned. He's going to go for that forward tower, probably with a forward barracks, and then maybe even just straight up ship his 3 unit shipments kind of back to back, and try to apply a lot of pressure.
All right, well, watch to see how he plays it. Obviously, there's a lot of great shipments that Sweden have got in the second age. Most importantly, it's going to be those leather cannons, though. Leather cannons, in particular, very, very strong. Difficult to deal with as well. Unless you can get right on top of them, it will absolutely shred through you. Now, Julian about to age up. He's got plenty of resources in the bank. It looks like he's going to be going for steel traps. He's got 125 wood on the dot. You know exactly what he is up to with wood like that.
Yeah, this is going to be a stable start from him, but I'm not sure how I'm feeling about a stable start if Warsaw does go for that forward tower with the Caroleans and the 8 pikes coming out. I'm struggling to see how that's going to be effective, but we'll see. He will be able to put on a lot of raiding pressure and deny some torps, and you know, if all of the infrastructure is forward for Sweden, he's not going to have as easy a time defending the villagers.
All right, well, it's going to be Dominions coming through for Warsword at the moment. I'm assuming Dominion still does something similar to what it used to back in the day. You know, that classic increase the health, enables the torps to also pick up any of the crates that are around them as well, and also get used as a home city point, at least economic home city shipment point.
Yeah, I'm sad that I'm already wrong about his game plan. I respect the Dominion's play as well. I think it's also going to be good.
All right. Well, we do see. Was that a torp going down there? Those torps seem really close together, don't they? I wonder if that one's. Is that one going to be on the mine? That one looks a little bit far away from that mine.
I'm not sure if that one. It does get the mine. Okay, perfect. It does. You've got all the extra trees too. Damn, I'm impressed. I wouldn't have gone for that. That is. I would have been too scared to go for that as well. Yeah. That's ballsy, man. This guy's got some balls, that's for sure. There's some cojones right here. All right, well, it looks like we've got plenty of torps coming out already in the early game, and there's going to be no Caroleans coming out today. What have we got going on here, Mitoe? I'm not sure what is that. That's not Krabbits, is it? Are there Krabbits on this map? I don't know exactly what the unit looks like.
Oh, Cossack
the
Daredevils.
Cossack Daredevils.
All right, so these units incredibly fast, and they also attack really fast. They do not mess around. They attack once every second. All right,
Yeah, those.
Looks like he's going to get found out right now.
Yeah, that does, unfortunately for him, get scouted pretty quickly. He was trying to hide that. But they do come out in the perfect place to get these Ulans, and that villager is going to be saved as well.
Oh. The villager survives. Oh, isn't that so lovely? You know, one of the big things with Sweden is typically you'll see players send out a villager to coin mines all over the map, and we can see in the north of the map at the moment, over towards that west side, there is a villager out on a gold mine, just I think, or at least, yeah, we've got some torps that are going to be coming down. And then at the same time, on the south side, there's a villager actually moving out towards that position as we've got a pause coming through. It's going to be from Floco. I'll have to wait and see what is up. Wonder, what do you reckon? What do you reckon he's pausing for? You reckon the food's just been delivered? Oh,
I don't know. Hopefully nothing serious, but interestingly enough, I saw that Floco had built a barracks back at home instead of a stable, even though we had saw him switch his villagers over to gold. So I wonder if he had actually bought the wood for that, changed his mind.
Yeah, it could have been the case.
I really like what... Sorry?
No, I was just going to say, the fact that he's going for doppels here, it's a lot of respect, isn't it?
I think he's going to cancel that dop. I think that dop is only in queue, just in case.
All right.
It looks like he's going to cancel that and go for an H-up.
Let's see. Oh, you called it. Oh, my lord. With a split second there. You got it, Mitoe. I was worried that you were going to be wrong again.
I've been wrong many times in the series, so I'll take the one win.
Well, it looks like a villager going to be going down on the south side. Typically in this matchup, the Swedish player knows they're going to be giving away villagers. I mean, you know that you're going to be giving away villagers here because you need to have those vills out on the map building the torps. If you don't give them away, you are not going to be making torps. So it's very natural to expect this. But we do have now the third age coming through for Julian. We'll take a look and see the age up. It's going to be the Exiled Prince. No real surprise there. Now at the same time, nice little clean up at the bottom. Taking care of the Ulans. I gotta say, these units are pretty smart up against these Ulans because obviously they're very quick, and so you can just deal with raids. And typically, the German player doesn't want to lose their Ulans because once they get through to the Fortress Age, they're going to be looking to get those veterancy upgrades. And 2 Ulans, it might not seem like a big deal, but when you've got 9 Ulans and then you add an extra 2 on top, you need to remember that you've got to go through those 9 Ulans and then finally you get to those 2 at the end. They've been dealing damage the whole time. So you really start to see damage differences with even just the smaller amount.
How are you feeling about Sweden's position at the moment? I think this is kind of the dream situation for Sweden right now. He's on his way up to Fortress, not too far behind Germany. He's got 200 pop on his torps. He just sent blueberries as he finished the 19th torp, I believe. And he killed a lot of Ulans for free. I think this game is looking really nice for him.
I think it goes back to the age-old question. How does Sweden deal with ranged cav? Because it's very difficult to deal with a very... Right. I mean, it used to be very difficult to deal with ranged cavalry. I don't know if that's still the case for Sweden. Typically, you know, Jaegers were going to be your first go-to. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how it happens because, like, realistically, I think this is a great position, but the Falconets are going to be not so impactful in this matchup just because of the prevalence of war wagons.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he chooses to go for any Jaegers or anything like that. It definitely is a tricky thing to deal with. Sweden does also have access to veteran crossbows, but that's not exactly the ideal counter against war wagons, considering that they have the same range.
Yeah, especially once you get that ranged cavalry caracol in as well, it really starts to hurt. But yeah, can we take a look at the Swedish deck and see exactly what we've got? As a nice little pickup happens here. Ulan's going to be going down. So indeed, Jaegers are in the deck. Obviously, Sweden unlocks the Jaeger once they've shipped them through. But it's important to remember they cost a very hefty amount of gold. But we do see the first shipment going to be coming through now. It is going to be the Falconettes. And we've also got a tech coming through by the looks of it. What is this one? Looks like it might be Folk Heroes. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Suspect it might be related to the or to the Outlaws, potentially.
Yeah, could be.
All right. Well, we've got 2 Falcons coming through. Corollian's in queue. He's got a nice bunch of units on the backside, pushing forward with it. The Skirms are going to try and pick them off. Corollians pop. They're out on the front line, looking to get down into melee, getting down and dirty. Falconettes down underneath the TC, looking to try and get off a couple of volleys. The War Wagons are here, ready to take them out, but at the same time, the Outlaws are looking to dish out the damage. We got some leather cannons coming out. Pow, pow, boy, get them out. And indeed they are. He tries his best to focus down the skirmishers, but you can see the way that they stick underneath the War Wagons. It makes it so difficult to take them out. Explorer finally goes down. He's in melee. But fortunately, it's been a pretty decent hold here for Warsword. He's looking strong in this series right now, Mitoe.
Yeah, he's been playing superbly the last few games. That's a good hold from him. I'm gonna be the ignorant caster and ask what those units are that he has next to his cannons.
The Outlaws. I'm assuming they're Outlaws. These little dudes.
They look like Outlaws, yes.
They kind of look like Outlaw Pistoleros.
They're the Cossacks?
Wait, what? Where did the horses go? Oh, Mitoe, we're so ignorant right now.
I don't know how to play this game anymore. I don't know what's happening.
Back in my day, hussars used to have horses, but not anymore. Melee, this is a difficult position for Sweden right now. Honestly, the skirm numbers are looking really good right now for Julian. War Wagons been able to take out all those Falconets. That's the main threat. And that's going to leave just the skirmishers here on the back line able to take this out. But we see more Daredevils coming in. This time they did bring their horses. And they're going to be able to run in. You can see them just spanking away on the skirmish units, going through it. And hold on a minute. Don't get your panties in a twirl just yet, because it looks like Sweden is somehow holding on.
Yeah, those Cossacks, the actual horsed Cossacks came in at just the right moment to help out in that fight, and he manages to hold. But that was still a great fight for Julian. He managed to clean everything up. He got rid of the Falconets, and behind this, Warsaw is still has to come up with a composition that can deal with this properly.
Keep in mind at this point, we've also got a pretty insane population or economic pop difference here. 38 for our German player versus 22 for our Swede. He's been on the defensive for all or the majority of this game. Now we see more Uhlans coming in. This is where it starts to get really difficult to hold for Sweden. Got more units coming in from the north, looking to try and push back this position. This is where it gets really tough. That's 9 Uhlans, and they do very well against the small number of Corollians. Now, trying to push through, trying to push away from this position. It's not looking good right now for Warsword. There was a time where I was a little bit hopeful. He's got Jaegers in the queue, but it's going to be a little bit late. By the time the Jaegers get here, the Minutemen are going to be down, the Corollians are down. He's got a handful that are in queue still, but I can't help but feel this game might be over, Mitoe.
Yeah, he took that fight a little bit too early. If you'd been able to stall for the Jaegers, it might have been better. I mean, he is going to at least hold on for the time being. Maybe it's not too bad. I mean, look at the scores, and, you know, Julian's retreating. The Jaegers are out now. The problem is going to be that some of the resources are going to be exhausted for Sweden soon. That gold mine at home is going to be running out. Some of the berry bushes are probably going to be running out soon as well. And that's where things start to get really tricky for Sweden.
All right, we'll have to wait and see exactly how Julian's going to respond to the Jaegers. Typically, the best response is just more skirms. If you can do exactly what he's doing, you can start picking off those Jaegers, and that's where it becomes really difficult, because once you've got a critical mass where you can actually, you know, two-shot them or eventually one-shot them, then they just become really irrelevant. Then they're just like any other skirmisher. But we now see, looks like 8 Uhlans going to be coming in for him. So that could be another way that he looks to go. Have we got veterancy on these Uhlans just yet? It didn't look like they had veterancy last time, but no, they're not veterans just yet. All right. Well, how are you liking the German position at the moment?
Yeah, I've got to be feeling pretty good about it. He's taken some really good fights, and the position, just with the torps on the map and the villagers and the unit composition, all of them are just looking like Warsaw is going to have to play really well to get out of here. And these Jaegers are just not in the right position, I think. He does have anti-cav behind this, but there we go. There's the pull trick. Going to save those Jaegers.
Yeah, he does well to get him. Look how fast they go, outrunning those Ulans that have got their horses today. But he comes in close now. We see a couple more units going to be coming through. The nice little pop with the Corollians. Keep in mind they've got range damage against the Cav. No melee damage. He looks to hold on and take down the majority of the Ulans. Keep in mind he never really hit that critical mass. And now all of a sudden the Jaegers are not being focused on the backline, mean that they're able to take out the majority of the skirms. Things are looking a little bit better right now for Warsword. He's somehow finding a way back into this game.
Yeah, that was a great fight for him, and things are looking really good now. I really think Julian neglecting that veteran upgrade on the Ulans hurt him a lot in that last fight, because he did have a lot of Ulans, but they were just outclassed by the rest of the units on the field.
Poor little war wagon going in there to sacrifice himself. He said, the Explorer went down, I got to go down with him. And indeed, they went down like two, like Romeo and Juliet almost. But yeah, so I guess from here, it looks really good for Sweden, just simply because of that fight. And I got to agree with you, the fact that we didn't see the veterancy come through for the Ulans. The other thing was, he didn't really wait for a critical mass of Ulans before engaging. If he was up to, you know, somewhere around like that 15, 16 mark for the Ulans, once you've got 3 rows, that's when it really starts getting difficult to deal with. But obviously not having veterancy, I don't even think we've got Cav Combat. We'll double check and see what shipments we've actually got through from Julian. He should have Cav Combat by this time, right? Right. Oh my lord, he doesn't even have Cav Combat yet. It just, yeah, it just feels tough, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be 1,000 gold coming through for him. I can't help feel that he was just too hasty on that engagement. Like, he was in a good position. He didn't need to fight just yet, but he saw the Jaegers out of position and he overchased and ended up in a good spot where the Swedish player was able to get a couple good pops on top of the army. And yeah, now it's getting tough for Julian because his villagers are also exposed, but we still have to keep in mind that those resources are running out for the Torps. The berry bushes are probably going to have to be replaced by the I don't remember the name of the card. Blackberries? Is that the one?
Yeah, the blackberries, yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting position because the way this matchup works is that, you know, Germany's got a lot of power early on. If Sweden survives, then it looks good. But then if Germany survives that little spike, then they're all of a sudden looking really good.
Yeah.
And now we've got a nice little push coming through. Corollians together with the Jaegers moving up. Well, it looks like we've got some Ag pellets towards the north. A unit that is rarely seen. Going to be coming out, spanking out with all of those, I mean, this is looking impressive right now for Sweden. Another village is going to get caught. Mitoe, this could be a good game right here. We could see it. This is terrible.
This has to be GG for Germany. He's losing a lot of villagers here. I mean, he is taking a good trade with the units on the top, though. He's trading off a few villagers to get some good trades with those units. It could buy him some time. There's some Ulans on the north here. If they manage to find some villagers somewhere, that could potentially equalize things. But look at the scores. It's looking bad for Julian now. Those villagers have been idled for a long time. They're not collecting gold anywhere. He's not going to be able to train units for a while. And yeah, it's going to be tough.
The economy behind this is still looking very, very healthy as well for Sweden. We'll have a look back towards his base and see just how much gold he's got on his gold mines, because that's going to give us the indication of exactly how much he's running. Oh, we've got empty gold mines back at home. Might have to think about deleting Torp or two, getting more out here. He's actually mining the gold on these bad boys as well. So definitely going to be the case where he's starting to peter out. And even though the score was looking good for him, well, now the economy is going to start to fall off.
Oh, he's got falconets now. I didn't even see the artillery foundry for Germany.
Yeah, wow. So going to be heading into War Wagon Falconet. A decent composition. Obviously, Culverin do very well against that. So always important to diversify.
Silversmith?
At this point? Hold on.
He has no gold mines left.
It still does 20% to mining increase as well as 20% yield, right?
Yes.
When I wasn't looking, did Germany get like a gold mine that they could send, or is there maybe there's a native that can send a gold mine? So. Yeah. What about the natives on this map? Have we got? Is there a potential gold mine that comes in from here? He's got to know something that we don't, right?
I really struggle to see why you would ever send Silversmith in this situation.
Do you have, yeah, maybe you just don't like 1,000 wood. You just don't like TCs. You don't like, speaking of TCs and 1,000 wood, we never actually saw Stagecoach come in or a second TP taken.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate for either player, actually.
Yeah, a bit of an oversight, definitely from Julian in this case on a map like this. Now Torps on the north side going to be taken out. How much gold have we got on this gold mine? Doesn't look like there's too much, so not going to be a huge loss here, but villagers are going to be happy that there's a little bit of gold here to gather up. Definitely seems to be all about gold this matchup, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely an important resource. It looks like there's a raid going on the south of the map or something. Some villagers potentially dying. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. Yeah, it looks like Julian losing more villagers, and I think Warsword has taken a commanding lead in this game, especially with the mines basically being fully depleted for Germany here. I can't see how he gets back into this game. He's going to have to start training crossbows or constructing estates or something. Basically, the entire game for him right now rests on these 3 falconets. But Warsword already has an artillery foundry. He can just train a couple culverins, or he can just train more falconets.
Oh, rest in peace. Oh my lord, those villagers just they were sad villagers today because they died, and that is any day you die is a sad day for you. Things not looking good right now for Julian, but let's see if he can bring the micro to the yard. Falconets moving forward. The trades come through. He gets off a nice little 1-for-1 for the moment, and still those Corollians going to be pushing up. The 2-for-1 comes through. He manages to go out, but now the Falconet on the back line is going to be able to hold through. The war wagon's going down. There's just so many Corollians right now. Mitoe, this is looking like it might be a Warsword win once again.
I think so. The army is gone. The gold is gone. The villagers are going to be exposed. And Warsword, I think, has pulled out a 3rd victory in this series.
Warsword looking incredible today. He is in form, and good game gets called.
Yeah, I really thought that he was in big trouble in a couple different points in this game, but he just did a really good job of holding. And yeah, Julian just overextending a little bit a couple of times when he just needed to be patient, use the mobility of those Ulans, and
look at that Vill count.
Well played, Warsword.
Let's have a look at that Vill population. I want to see that was a bit of a massacre there. We'll take a look and see. Yeah, both players losing Vills towards the end, but Julian in particular losing villagers over that last 5 minutes. Warsword just doing so much work with his units just around the map with his horseless horsemen. Now that I think about it, can we just take a look? Can we view map and can we just check if we've got counter infantry rifling for the German player? We're sitting at 20 minutes through the game. It doesn't look like I don't see an armory.
I can't imagine he had the wood for counter infantry rifling.
Oh, true. He never sent through 1,000 wood, did he?
He also like he does have veteran Ulan now, but he was struggling for the wood for that for a long time. I think it'd be difficult for him to get the wood for an arsenal plus counter infantry rifling.
Yeah, perhaps that would have made a difference in that last fight, but there were a lot of Corollians there. Definitely that Swedish economy was really kicking into the final gear.
Well, Drongo, Sweden is still playable.
It's great to see. It's great to see. Sweden remains playable for the moment. For the moment, there was a time there. I remember back in the days, the dark days, where Sweden was just well. Let's not. I like to put that in the same space of my brain as like all the other bad things that I've experienced in life. All right, well, we'll be heading into game at number 5 shortly. Warsword with an absolutely mammoth lead now, up 2 games. This is a best of 9, so 5 games is going to be the magic number. That's the key factor here, so it's going to be tough for Julian. I mean, he's going to need to win the next 4 games without losing 2. That's going to be tough, but we do see the first civilization coming out for Julian. It's going to be Spain.
I'm so excited for this matchup.
And Warsword on China. Oh, Mitoe. I know you've been practicing a little bit of China lately. You like to get a little bit of China practice in, don't you?
China. I like China. We can say that.
You're a China enjoyer, aren't you? Tell me the truth.
Guilty as charged.
All right. Well, we might save the matchup talk until we get into the game. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how pumped are you right now?
Ooh, solid 9.
Okay.
I like this matchup a lot. I think it could be really interesting. There's a couple matchups I like more than this. I love German mirrors. German mirror is a solid 10 out of 10.
I'm gonna need to get an IP check. I think that might be Kaiser Klein talking to me right now.
Oh, come on. Kaiser's not even good at German mirrors, man.
You're gonna tell me that French mirrors are the next best thing for
Actually,
German
I
mirrors.
love French mirrors as well.
Get
I
out of
wish.
here, Mitoe.
I wish. Listen, there have been days where I'm just playing with H2O, like just customs, and we're literally just playing like 20 French mirrors in a row. And we don't play French mirrors like the way people normally do. We're out there like chasing each other's explorers down like from minute 1 and like all this crazy stuff. But anyway, we're into the game now. We're gonna have Spanish versus China. It's gonna be Julian as the Spanish player in the north side of the map here, and he's gonna be playing against Warswords China as the blue player in the south of the map.
All right, well, tell us a little bit about this matchup, Mitoe. Obviously, you are a big China enjoyer. I saw you getting in a fair bit of China practice yesterday in preparation for this. What are you expecting to see here? Because this is a China versus Spain matchup, and you're a big fan of this matchup.
Well, there's a lot of different ways this matchup can go. The main thing is how Spain chooses to play it early on. I mean, China could play a little bit of Age 2 and then go up to Fortress Age a little bit later. But for the most part, we would kind of expect both players to go for a fast Fortress, and then it kind of depends on whether or not Spain decides they're going to play an aggressive fast Fortress or a greedy fast Fortress. And yeah, it comes down to whether or not, you know, there's little things like you don't want to ship hand mortars too early with China in case he goes for the greedy FF, because then he'll have Lancers and Skirmishers, and you might not even send Falconets. And I should really stop talking about all the tiny minutiae when we don't even know what's happening yet, but...
Well, I got to ask the big question. Are we going to see the Mitoe build today?
No. No way.
No, not today. No, these guys want to win. I'm just kidding, Mitoe. Friendly bet.
Well, to be fair, I'm not even sure that it's like better than the alternatives. I don't think it's worse, but it's like... It's definitely better if you get a lot of treasures, I think. But if you don't get a lot of treasures, it's not necessarily better. It's going to slow you down for sure.
All right. Well, we see trading posts have been taken for both players at this stage. Both have got 1 so far each. And then, of course, there are 1 trading post out to each side of the map. So it means it's you've got 3 TPs that you can potentially take and 1 that is not gonna, but I like the name of this deck right now. This is a good name deck. Coming out from Warsword. This is the auto lose deck. He might be doing your build.
No.
All right,
he built a trading post already.
He did. Yes. So yeah, he's gonna be going for the auto lose deck here. We're gonna bring that one back up and have a look at it. Mitoe, I want you to give me a rating out of 10. How much do you like this Chinese deck? We've got the 3 shipments in age 3. We've also got, take a look at that card. That was Coxinga. Jeez, be careful pronouncing that one in the YouTube demonetization. Coxinga. So ships a number of iron troops. There you go.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty solid deck. I think the Commerce Age and Fortress Age parts of the deck look really good. The Industrial Age leaves a little bit to be desired, I think. I think 8 Meteor Hammers is just inferior to like 17 Arquebusiers or 18 Changdao. I think that might have been nerfed actually, but you were not likely to see Industrial Age much in this matchup anyway.
Well, it might be just me, but this is a bit of a strange card, something that we don't always see coming through right now for him as well. Obviously, we've got the age up coming through behind. Let's talk about this card in the first age. So it's going to be 1 consulate rickshaw as well as 100 export to spend. How do you feel about the balance of this card? What do you reckon? What do you think this alludes to when it comes to strategy? Because at the end of the day, I mean, you're our trusty China expert.
Okay, so yeah, I've played a lot of China, but I'm gonna be honest, I haven't experimented much with this card. But there's a couple of different options. It looks like he's going for the Russian consulate, and that's gonna make his villagers a bit cheaper and train a little bit more quickly. Help out his economy early on, and then he'll probably be going into the blockhouse in the second age.
Right.
And
okay.
I'm not sure. I think the blockhouse, he's probably just gonna use it to defend. Like, he's not going to be aggressive with it. I can't see, like, he's gathering gold right now. He could be going for standard army from that blockhouse, but that's probably not the best against Spain. So I'm expecting an FF just with the blockhouse at home to keep the the base nice and safe and use it as a war academy later on.
All right. Well, I'm not going to ask too many questions about what Julian's doing because, I mean, realistically, he's playing Spain. And I think, like, at this point, you could have a blind person casting this game and they'd be like, oh, we've got a Spanish player in the game. We're going to probably see a fast fortress out of him today. Almost 100% guarantee. And that's exactly what it's going to be. 700 gold, 700 wood coming through. And, yeah, no real surprise here. We do see war dogs coming out, though, which is, you know, not standard. Let's just say that much.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like that's not going to slow down his age up at all, though, looking at his resources. And it is going to make sure that he can get this tower up as aggressively as possible with no risk of losing it to disciples or anything crazy like that. And he's going to want to make those war dogs later anyway, right?
Exactly. It's yeah. I mean, you do risk potentially not being able to age up super fast because typically you'd see players move over, you know, 73 villages to gather up all the gold from the shipment, but not going to be the case here. But we'll take a look back at the Chinese base as the blockhouse is now going up over on that northern side. How do you rate this base building so far, Mitoe? I'll be honest, I'm liking it. I think this is quite a nice little base setup he's got here. I'm just worried about that blockhouse. I can't help but feel like it might get eaten by 2 falconets very soon.
I actually really like all this building placement. I think the blockhouse is a little bit exposed, but if I recall correctly, you can't actually research your... Wait, what am I even saying? Why does that even matter? I was going to say you can't research your veteran upgrades, but since he's not staying age 2, it doesn't even matter that he has that instead of a war academy. So, yeah, I would say the blockhouse is definitely a little bit too exposed here.
I got to be honest.
Other than that, the building placement, I think, is great.
These build orders have been very, very perfected, haven't they? Like, I am really impressed with how quick this is all coming together. We can see this age up coming through now. This is a pretty quick age up coming through for China, isn't it? It feels quick.
Forward village as well.
All right.
Yeah, you could do a really quick age up with China these days, and yeah, this village.
What's going on with this one?
Well, the thing about this placement is, you're pretty much guaranteed to lose it if Spain goes aggressive. But it's going to buy you a lot of time at home. You can see, like, he might even be expecting to lose it. Like, he's dropping this wall behind it and stuff like that. But it's going to buy him a lot of time with his vills. Like, he's not going to be forced to garrison or anything. This is interesting. I'm not sure how much I like exposing the village like that, but we'll see.
There's got to be a reason behind it. Is he thinking about a potential flanking maneuver, maybe?
I could maybe, like...
Getting a good pop or something?
I could see something like that, but maybe it's something like buying time for an industrial age. But he doesn't have the right cards for the industrial age, so that can't be it.
3 shipments in the bank right now for Julian is about to age up to the fortress age. Both players up before 7 minutes 30. Not a bad timing here by either of them. 2 Falc's going to be the first card. We also see 4 Hussars from the age up. Plenty of War Dogs out from earlier. We see Lance is going to be coming in after that. He's got more Hussars in queue, so definitely more orientated around that cavalry focus. One of the big things, or the themes of dealing with China in Age of Empires 3 is just the lack of answers that they've got to cavalry. It's always a bit more difficult when you're going up against civs that are orientated towards 4-legged units. And we can see that Julian's looking to exploit that here.
They have 6 legs.
Oh my lord, they do. They're arachnids.
It's an insect, not an arachnid. They do have 8 appendages, I guess.
Sorry,
we're getting sidetracked. but yeah, this trading post is actually going to be buying a little bit of time here. I'm interested to see what Warsword has on the way. He is up to the next age. He did age with the skirmishers. Looks like he's trained a batch of Forbidden Army. And yeah, the hand mortars are out now. This village is going to be giving him a lot of line of sight.
Yeah, is he using the village as bait right here to get the line of sight to hit the Falcons? Explorer coming out. He's going to be able to spot it. Doesn't really have an answer to the cavalry mass that's come out from Julian just yet. He's going to be able to get a couple of nice little shots on the Falconets. It's going to be... Oh, he's looking to try and commit. He gets one. Beautiful little position there. He's going to try and get back behind the wall as quickly as he can. Oh, my lord, that's a lot of cavalry. You got to run. You got to run right now, Warsword. Unfortunately, he misclicks, I think, and takes a shot at the Explorer. Now he's going to have to... Oh, jeez. Oh, things not looking good right now. One misclick, and it's all over Red Rover, isn't it?
There's no anti-cav here for the Lancers, and those units are not going to have an easy time escaping.
It's the classic Chinese story. There's no anti-cav. I mean, there's anti-cav. It's just all dead because it's been killed by the cavalry. It's just not good enough. And now Julian completely surrounding the units. Lancers, dogs, hussars, all looking good and healthy. A little bit of a hold, though. The Minutemen have come through. The sentries looking decent as they dish out a little bit of pain. Finding the Explorer here. Critical hits coming off. The Explorer doing well. Don't see too many disciples coming through just yet. But still the numbers here are looking healthy for Julian. Let's see if he's able to really put the pedal to the metal here and close this game out.
Yeah, that's a really good fight for him. You know, I almost feel like that could have worked for Warsword if that wall was a little bit further up and a little bit longer. He would have been able to keep those units a little bit safer from the cavalry, but unfortunately for him, not the case.
If he hadn't misclicked, he'd be okay. All the hand cannons shot at the Explorer. He was trying to get them behind the wall, but he misclicked on the Explorer, and they all shot at him. So they all put themselves back down. But now the Rodolero is going to be coming in, looking to fight up against the muskets. Obviously, the muskets preferring to fight up against the cavalry. Wardogs getting some decent little trades in. We see the Townsend are continuing to apply pressure, but now the Lance is going to be moving around the TC on the bottom side. More Rodolero is going to be running around the landmark. Did I say landmark? I didn't say landmark, did I?
Yes, you did.
Oh, I didn't, Mitoe. Get out of my head.
Okay. Well, you won't make the mistake again. I'm trusting you from now
Look,
on.
as we said, right now, this is the bronze. This is the warm-up match. We'll get it right on the second series tonight, I promise.
All right, I can take that. But yeah, Julian really capitalizing on that opportunity now. Like just being completely fearless and diving the TC, getting rid of those muskets. And the thing about China in this situation is, like, if you exhaust all of your unit shipments and you don't even have your market upgrades yet, things can get really tricky. But at the same time, I guess, like, Spain is also on a bit of a timer with their shipments. He's gone pretty aggressively. He doesn't have Spanish gold or anything like that, or a second town center.
Or 5 vills. You didn't see that come through either. So he's still sitting down with 23 vills.
5 vills. Wow. I didn't even notice that. That's actually huge. I actually think Warsword's in a better position then.
He's looking strong, and now we've got the first of the artillery out for China. He's looking to try and get a good shot off. Doesn't get it, unfortunately. It was very, very close. 2 or 3 seconds more, and he would have got the shot off. Another village going to be coming up just to the top side of that blockhouse. So you're liking the position right now that Warsword's in?
I didn't like it until you said he didn't have 5 villagers, but now I like it, yes.
All right, well,
I'm gonna... Sorry.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like I see this a fair amount where Spanish players will skip 5 villagers. I'm just not convinced that it's ever worth it. Okay, well, that's a flying crow. That's no longer... I should say that's a grounded crow.
That's it. Good game was been gone. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lance is now running in. Oh, Mitoe, things went from bad to worse real damn quickly. More units looking to come through. Explorer dishing out some damage as well. Lance is just going down.
This is fine. This is fine for Warsword. Lancers can't fight against Forbidden Army.
And there they go.
The one Falconet still lives, though.
Oh, nobody forgot. Everyone forgot about the one Falconet. Can you believe that? It's always the case, isn't it? You know, there's one flying crow that just has a mind of its own, makes its way to the enemy base.
So often.
It really does. Like, I can't help but feel like it's not me. It's you. Like, it's got to be the game, right? Like, my commands just aren't going through, Mitoe.
The flying crow just wants to spread its wings too early. That's all.
And indeed, he wasn't the flying crow, but rather the crashing crow. Crashing back to the ground. But the Changdao now going to come in. It's going to help him out a little bit, bolster it a little bit. All the villagers got to be careful. Jump inside of the blockhouse for the moment.
The thing is, though, like, I still kind of struggle to see what the follow-up for Spain is he doesn't really have a good economy behind this still, right? Without the 5 villagers, he doesn't have a second TC or anything. I'm not even sure if he has market upgrades yet.
We'll double check now. We'll jump over on the other side of the map and see if we can spot a market. We might be lucky. Maybe there's a hunting dogs coming through. Oh, Lord, it's not looking pretty.
He doesn't even have hunting dogs yet, so...
Oh, gosh. Things are tough right now, but speaking of tough, Musketeers looking to try and deal with the units on the backside. The Falconet still firing, getting some decent volleys off. He's just ignoring it completely, allowing it to just exist. He says, don't worry, we'll deal with you eventually, and the Changdao going to be moving out. That's what's going to be dealing with this Falconet, and things looking really tough for Julian. I suspect we might have a good game coming through now as China is just looking to overwhelm this position, and, I mean, he's held. He has held. He's up on eco. And now he's looking to overwhelm and begin that classic Chinese ball of death.
Where did this one Falc come from? Did he train that?
Yeah, from the artillery foundry.
I didn't even see the artillery foundry. You probably even pointed it out. But
he's got an artillery foundry, but no market. Let's just put it that way.
yeah, I think, yeah, there's the GG from Julian. What I was trying to say before the Flying Crow had its wings clipped was that I feel like I see Spanish players do this a decent amount, where they skip the 5 villager card and then they always lose the game. Like, where's the follow-up? You always get that great position with the army, but it doesn't matter because you have no economy behind it.
Yeah, well, there are a couple of little gimmies in there as well for him. You know, as an example, we saw every single one of the hand cannons go down.
Whoa, wait. That villager timeline, was that just flatlined in early Fortress? Oh my god, he was down even more villagers.
Oh my lord. Yeah, not the best right there, but yeah, down what, probably close to just 5 villages from that, right? Looking at it, yeah, about 4 or 5 vills. So yeah, behind the equivalent of 5 plus another 5, plus no market shipments or market upgrades, plus no Spanish gold either. It's a very tough economic position. But I think there was a very clear timing that he was looking to go for, but wasn't able to pull it off. He was so close. It felt like he was going to be able to pull it off. You know, that typical 9-minute, 50, 10-minute push that comes through from Spain, where, you know, all of the cavalry was coming through, the classic Hazard build. But yeah, it wasn't to be today.
Robot in the chat is pointing out that you skip 5 vills so you can send capitalism in age 1, but I don't think Julian even sent capitalism. Do you remember seeing that?
No, I don't think we were focusing on his position, so I wouldn't remember seeing it. But let's have a look and see what he did send. We'll see if we can spot it.
You can check the home city, I think. Yeah, he doesn't even have it in his deck.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a very all-in build, and I mean, he did get a good position out of it. He traded basically like 1 falconet for the entire Chinese army, but
it was a good trade. It was a really good trade. And then you got a Flying Crow as well, but I mean, by that point, that's just all over Red Rover.
Well, Warsword up to a 4-1 lead at the moment. Not what I was expecting after how convincingly Julian won the first game.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. We'll be heading into the next game, but it's match point now, Mitoe. I mean, I was expecting to see 9 games. I tell you what, if we only end up seeing how many? What is it? 5, 6 games in this series. You guys have let me down. I was expecting the whole thing, but we got a whole bunch of subs coming through. Lionheart is going to be gifting a sub over to Passy, so big shout out to Lionheart. And we've also got a resub coming in from Uberstadt Arena, and of course, Old School RTS, an old friend of mine, gifting a sub to me. Thank you very much, Old School RTS, and thank you very much to Lionheart, as well as Ubersada, for those gifted subs, as well as the resubs. Very, very kind of you guys to come back in with those subs and help out ESOC and hopefully get towards that $10,000 goal. I don't know about you, Mitoe, but it's looking like, you know, if there's anybody thinking about donating towards that $10,000 goal, like, now is a great time for that, because there's not much time left before Kings of the Old World wraps up.
Just a few hours left.
I'm liking it. I reckon, you know, we could squeeze it in. We could squeeze it in.
I think so.
Well, we know the matchup for the first of the match point games. It's going to be Julian on the Ottomans and Warsword on the Maltese.
Okay. Yeah, Warsword, of course, has to play the Maltese here, as you are required to play both Italy and Malta in the series, and this is potentially the final game for Warsword if he wins. So I wonder if Julian picked Ottomans knowing that this was coming.
Yeah, it could be the case, and he's just looking to pick up a nice win here. Look to put out some early aggression. Obviously, we know Malta has a difficult time dealing with early aggression, a little bit of a slow civilization to start off. If they can get up to the Fortress Age and get down that fixed gun, which we do know is fixed and also a gun, then there's a potential that he can hold on. But
yeah, that Ottoman push, though, comes so fast. I don't know that you have time to get a fixed gun up, but maybe if he kills the tower... Well, we're assuming that there's going to be a tower FF. If he kills the tower first, then goes up to Fortress Age, maybe there's time.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we jump in to the 6th game for this evening. We are on match point right now. Spawning in on the north side of the map in the color red as our Maltese player. It's Warsword, and it is his match point. He's up in this series right now with 4 wins, 4 victories to his name. And on the south side of the map in the color blue, playing as the Ottomans, it's Julian K. Mitoe, what is Julian going to be pulling out today? Are we going to be seeing that classic Ottoman 4-minute barracks drop down outside the base of the enemy, 5 gens shipped in, he's running it down mid, it's 15 gens under the TC at 5 minutes 30, there's no way he's holding? Is that what we're going to be seeing? Or is it just going to be something a little bit different?
Well, we're going to be seeing Silk Road, that's for sure. Take a look at the crates here under the Ottoman Town Center. He's left them all alone for the time being so that Silk Road can fill those out with an extra 25 resources. And typically when you go for Silk Road, you're going to go for some kind of Age 2 timing with either Jan Hus or Jan Abis. So I don't think we're even going to see Fortress Age at all.
All right, well, I'm excited. You're excited. This could be it right here. Julian is bringing out the big guns. We'll take a look over at Warsword's side as he's going to be picking up a trading post as well. Both players picking one up a piece here. Now, I'm assuming on this map here, Mitoe, that trading posts look like they it looks like you should be able to take all the trading posts for every player. I think this is well and truly out of the range of the TC. Ready. Correct me if I'm wrong, though.
Yeah, I think you definitely can take the TPs on this map. I don't know if... Sorry, I'm trying to remember if you can actually get the second TP with Ottomans if you send Silk Road on this kind of map, or if you need an extra crate. I think you need an extra crate or a treasure, so he'll probably not be getting that second TP until transition.
All right, well, we've got an interesting deck name once again coming out for Warsword. It's going to be Ezad, I Love You. Ezad, obviously one of the players here. Quite a good player. Actually went down in the quarterfinals up against someone else who's going to be playing tonight. He went down to Revnak in that series. It was a 4-3 as well, so a very close series. Went down all the way to the final game. So he's sending out his love, his affection to Ezad, letting him know that he is loved. But I don't see any decks named after us. At least not yet.
Yeah, the disrespect. Don't they know who we are?
Yeah,
we've been super active players.
Yeah, we're so active, Mitoe, right now. All right, we got the Age 2 coming through. I'm suspecting it's going to be the Quartermaster here. It is indeed the Quartermaster, so not going to be the Governor. So as you suspected, it is going to be a heavy focus on the second Age, and we're going to have that realized now by Warsword. He's going to spot that second TP coming up, and he should be able to do the math here. Now, he's probably checked the deck of Julian as well and gone, oh, hold on a minute. You got a Silk Road card right there. Could be a fake out. Speaking of fake out, look at that right there. He's picking up the beaver. Not too bad. The looks like he does get the snare. Maltese Explorer, notoriously difficult for getting the snares. Rest in peace. Oh, did you pull that one off as well? Oh, he's got it. There we go. He's trying to unhook himself. All right,
yeah, I think he's gone now.
Well, the age up's come through for Malta as well. What have we got here? What do you reckon the age up's going to be over on his side?
The Quartermaster, probably, is my guess.
Take a look and see. And indeed, it is the Quartermaster, so no real surprises coming out there either. Market going to get dropped down here. We'll take a look at the deck and see exactly what the Maltese player has got in store for us. So nothing too out of the ordinary. It's all looking pretty standard. Expecting that we're going to see German tongue coming through.
He's not got many vills on wood right now, so I think it's like 350 wood or something to send that card. So maybe he's not going to send it. 450 wood.
Could this be a 700, 600 wood play potentially looking to defend with a heavy amount of crossbows?
It looks like that's a possibility.
Something that we do see out of Malta is typically it's going to be German tongue, and then from German tongue moving into Wigner Court. But obviously he hasn't gone for German tongue, so probably not going to be going into Wigner Court. So I reckon it's likely that we're going to see 700, 600. Hold on a minute. We got the governor. Did he cancel and re-queue? Wait, what? Wait, what? Hold on. I thought we had the quartermaster in queue.
I
think we've had it cancelled, haven't we? He 100% had the quartermaster in queue. He's done the fake out. He's faked us out. Is that even legal? We're gonna check the rules right now. We're the casters.
I thought we were supposed to have all the information.
I know, right?
Oh my god, this depot.
Oh lord. Oh depots. So, oh yeah. Get it, boy.
I think. Yeah, I think that these depots could be pretty annoying potentially.
I think so as well.
But I don't think they're going to be up in time to deny this tower or anything like that. But he's going to build 2 of them and probably detonate both of them to kill it. Or he could maybe wait until Fortress and then detonate them.
Well, Wigner Court construction has just arrived. Very interesting build order here. Not going for that, going for German tongues. 5 spears also going to be coming out. Early aggression coming through. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't hear you say pikeman.
Oh my god! Oh my. Sorry. First series of the day. It's fine. It's okay. Pikeman. The unit carrying pokey stabs. Sorry, guys. I do apologize. That's one of the more difficult ones to remember.
Don't worry. But your promise was once we get to the finals.
Right.
Still got time.
Yes, this is the warm up. But yes, the pikeman doing well towards his northern position. We did see that it looks like he's actually picked up the trade upgrade over on this trade route towards the north as well. So it's a high value target.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty nice pickup for Malta, especially if he takes that trading post for himself. Currently, he's on the opposite side of the map, so he's probably not going to be building that anytime soon, but he does have that option available to him.
All right, well, we've got the age up coming through, 700 wood. Looking to drop down our first buildings. It's going to be a barracks back at home. The depots do get detonated, but it looks like, did one of them...
They might have been too far away. I
think they may have, yeah. Definitely seems that way. Didn't go close enough. But the pikemen going to be coming in now. One of them does indeed reach cover mode. Looks like the explorer was thinking about coming in, but he knows better than to mess with that bad boy. And indeed, that outpost looks like it's not going to be too long for this world, and that's going to help him out a huge amount. Obviously, one of the key factors here is going to be the timing that the Ottomans are able to achieve with their 2 falconets and their janissaries. But in this case, the outpost is going to be going down, and that's going to delay that push quite a bit.
Right. Yeah, have we got sentinels out now for Malta?
I'll have a look. There we go.
I swear, I never see anyone ever make this unit. It's only ever crossbows.
All right, well, not today. Sentinels moving in underneath the town center. Oh, geez, this could be an interesting position right now. I didn't expect this at all. Maltese pushing out with sentinels. Looking to really get in and do some damage. Managing to pick off a fair few of the gens. They're doing a decent job. They're going to have to fall back as the Minutemen do indeed get called. So
yeah, I think that was worthwhile for him, though. He got a couple Janissaries. He forced the Minutemen call. Villagers had to garrison. And he didn't lose his whole army. So I think he's going to be pretty okay with that outcome.
Yeah, well, he's now looking to... He's definitely macroing towards the fortress age. And we see crossbows also coming through for him. But typically, you'd avoid going for the crossbow shipment if you were thinking about going to the fortress age. But we now see more units in queue, so he could just be thinking about sticking around in the second age for now.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the play. Now, he's going to be going right back into the Ottoman base. That's an interesting decision. I don't know if he actually saw that Julian was pushing out or not, but he might be able to get a couple vills here. Okay, just one villager.
Just the one villager for now, but he's got quite a decent mass. Big factor here is going to be those falconets, and they've now arrived to the party. Tsar's going to have to fall back away from this position, and I think the question is, how does Warsword look to deal with these falconets? Obviously, he's got quite a decent mass here. Is he just going to be looking to overrun the enemy? And hold on a minute, look at this. He's just completely taking this fight. Falconet's nowhere to be seen. We hear the first shots come off. It's a beautiful volley, taking out 3 infantry units. and forcing back away the rest of the army. But geez, he doesn't have a lot of gens out, does he?
No, he lost quite a few there, and he's not really been able to train them either. He's not getting the most value out of this Silk Road, having that the Stagecoach TP denied at the north of the map. Malta's now picked that up for himself, in fact. So yeah, things are not looking as good for him as we expected early on. But he's still going to have a pretty strong push here. The Falconets are out. He is going to have the 8 Janissary shipment on the way. He's going to have another few Janissaries from the barracks, but the big thing here is he's not going to have the veteran upgrade. Whether or not that matters when you have Falconets remains to be seen, but it is going to mean that these Janissaries are not as powerful as he'd like them to be.
Yeah, well, we'll see as he begins pushing out. I think you're indeed correct in that it doesn't really matter. You got your Falconets, that's all that matters. But I remember having a problem with Falconets when I was playing Age 2 as the Swedes, and then I worked out I could just build enough Carolians where I could just overwhelm the Falconets. And it kind of looks like Warsword has done the same thing here. He's got a lot of infantry, and I feel like it's probably going to be enough to just overwhelm the Falconets. So let's watch and wait and see how he plays it out as he begins to take out the first of the production buildings here on the Maltese side of the map.
This flank could be big, although it looks like he might just be wrapping around back into his base.
Can ride on board with Julian and get an idea on the line of sight and see exactly what he sees. But yeah, we do indeed get to see that it's just going to be he's just heading back towards the base. Starts working. Yeah, he's got no information at all about that base. No real idea where the infrastructure is. All right, takes down the second production building. Things looking good for Julian at the moment. Now, I think you'd be pretty happy with this matchup in this game. You spoke about this a little bit earlier, Mitoe. You said that, you know, the Ottomans have got a beautiful 2-Falc push that they can get away with, and it's going to be difficult for Maltese to stop that. But now we see a little bit of a counterattack coming through, looking to pick up reinforcements. Is this the best way to deal with this?
Yeah, I really like the use of his army here. This just makes things really uncomfortable for Julian, as he has to keep a lot of units back. And this way, Warsword can grow his army for the next fight, while Julian can't really grow his army. This army isn't going to get any bigger, but that was maybe not the engagement he was looking for with those Hussars.
Well, now pushing forward, Falconets still trying to get those volleys off, but all of a sudden, the Janissaries just looking to try and defend. Jeez Louise, they're coming through. Villagers moving forward. Hello, villagers moving forward. Looking to get the butts of their rifles out, but it might be a little bit too late. Looking to focus down the remainder of the health, and indeed they do get through it, but still those Janissaries are looking healthy in number, and things not looking good for Warsword in this 6th game in the series. As once again, he's going to be falling back towards that town center. But still, the score's looking relatively even here, Mitoe.
Yeah, I actually felt like he was in a decent position, cutting off the reinforcements and stuff like that. I think he was just a little bit too quick on the trigger finger with the Hussars there. And Julian's in a good spot now. The score isn't totally imbalanced, yeah, but the age definitely is. And Julian's in a pretty strong position. He's got Mamelukes on the way now.
It doesn't really seem like too much of a response to that. Mamelukes notoriously hard to deal with, especially when paired up with a unit like the Janissary. High damage, especially with this focus. They're going to be able to deal with any cavalry unit very well. But we do finally get to see that veterancy coming through. Geez, we're going to be about 13 minutes through and still no veterancy coming through for those Janissaries. But hey, it's better late than never.
It's going to be just in time as the Mamelukes arrive, and that's going to be a very tough push to hold for Malta. Is he on his way up to the next age, or what does Warsword have coming to try and deal with this next push? It's going to be... Oh, crossbows are not what you need against Mamelukes, but...
Yeah, the scores at the moment, they start to tell a bit more of the tale. About 2.5k points difference, and the Mamelukes are out. Looking to try and move into position. You can see the Janissaries also about to hit that veterancy upgrade. There she comes. And now let's let the battle begin, he says. And Julian looks to march towards that Maltese base and dish out the damage. The crossbows on the front line, trying their best to deal with the enemy Janissaries. But the Mamelukes come in, and that's going to be all she wrote. I don't think there's any way Warsword holds this. And look at the little micro techniques coming through, trying to deal with the melee, the melee muskets. but not having a whole lot of luck. The Janissaries on the back line doing a pretty decent job here of holding off, but he does have reinforcements coming in through from the right side of the screen. We see them coming down from the south as well as from the north. Janissaries looking decent. Villagers once again making their way out onto the front line. He's getting the butt of the rifle out, the blunderbuss out, Mitoe, but I feel like it might not be enough to hold it at this point. When you villagers are getting the blunderbuss out, it might be a good game.
Yeah, this is tough. The villagers now going down. Hussars on the way from Julian's base as well, and there's just, I think there's just no way that Malta survives from here, and
yeah,
that's gonna put Julian back on the board.
Well, this is exactly what he needs right now. If there's ever been a time to lift for him, it is exactly right here. His enemy is on match point. Any game that's won is just going to end the series immediately there. So this was literally do or die. You mentioned earlier that he would have been pretty happy with this matchup, and it seems like it is going his way at this point. All right, those Janissaries continuing to move away from that position. Malta holding on for a little bit longer. When it comes to the villager count, things are looking relatively even. And so military count is just going to be the main differential here. You see the Mamelukes going to be the key factor here. Mamelukes going to be moving in towards these units. Going to try and tank up a lot of the damage. Going to be able to get their snares off. They get the snare off and they back on out. Just very, very cheeky. Janissaries getting some beautiful trades in. But still, Warsword holds on. He fights until the end. Never give up. Never surrender.
Those Hussars could have been game-ending as well with the gold mine. They didn't. They just barely didn't see the villagers on that gold mine.
All right, well, it's going to be those little differences that may make it, or may not. That he's losing more villagers. We hear the sound going off. We'll see the alarms. And the Janissaries looking to fight it out from this position, but they're going to have to fall back away from the town center. All villagers going down. Villager count starting to dwindle here for Warsword. He's down to 18 villagers compared to the 24 of Julian. And good game gets called. Julian back on the board here with a second victory. He's got a long way to go, but hey, what a great time for him to pull it out. That is for sure. Don't want to leave the run too late, Mitoe. You leave the run too late, your enemy just wins and you get 5-0 clean swept, and it feels bad, man.
Yeah, you were complaining earlier that we might not get a full 18 games, but you know, it could still happen now.
Could indeed happen. All right, well, yeah, you can see it never really looked in doubt. I mean, I say that. There was a pretty big swing there from Warsword, where it was looking a little bit scary, but those Falconets just obviously being so incredibly difficult to deal with, especially in the second age. Yeah, interestingly, no third age play there. But we'll be moving through now to the 7th game in this series. Warsword still on match point. The question is, where do we go from here with regard to civilization choices for these two guys? Because there's not many civs left. You know, one of the civs that we haven't seen yet has been the Dutch. Do we dare see them out in this game?
The Dutch. I'm not too familiar with either of these players' civ pools. So I'm not really sure what they're likely to pick.
All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see. It's about to come through. Not a lot of options left with regard to maps as well. What type of map do you think they're going to be going? We're going to be moving to here. Maybe something like Danish Straits, potentially. Look to move to Finland. That could be another option. All right. Yet to see anything just yet. Whew. Well, it's been a great series so far. It's been close, a lot of action. Some great games. So far in this series, Mitoe, which game has been your favorite so far? And you can't say the same one as me, so you be careful about what game you say.
Oh, come on. Oh, how are you doing that to me? Hang on. Let me... I think there's only one game I can say.
No, that's my game. You're not allowed to say that game.
But what?
All right, we can both say it.
I can't. It was just more enjoyable than the other games. What can I say?
German versus Sweden.
There was Sweden in the game.
Exactly. It's always a good time when there's Sweden, right? Blueberries, exactly. The sweetest berry of all.
Yeah, overall, I've been really impressed with Warsword's play. I really wasn't familiar with him before this tournament. I'm not much of a ladder player, so I didn't really play much against him. Didn't really see him play much. But I'm really impressed with how well he's been playing. And especially in this series, I think he played those 4 wins just immaculately.
Yeah, they were very good. And oh my lord, look what we're coming to see, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have Warsword on the Dutch, Julian on the Chinese. Now that is a matchup I like to see. Mitoe, you're going to get your beautiful Chinese out, and I get to enjoy the Dutch. You know, I used to be a Dutch main back in the day.
Yeah, I used to dabble in the Dutch myself. How did you know he was going to pick Dutch?
I just got a feeling.
Where are you getting the inside scoops?
No, you got to... Mitoe, it's about knowing what the players are going to do in their heart of hearts. For me, it felt like a Dutch game right now. You know, he's a Sweden lamer. He likes the United States. You know, we're on the same wavelength, and I could just feel it was going to be Dutch.
Okay. I'm a little bit suspicious, but I'll let you get away with it for now.
So here's my question to you, and no bias allowed. What do you reckon the percentage chance here is China versus Dutch? What
do you mean?
For winning. You reckon
for winning?
Yeah, China's got like a 51% chance to win, 53% chance. You know,
I would say that it's China favored a little bit. I'm not sure how familiar Julian is with this matchup, having been a little bit newer to Supremacy gameplay. But there's a lot of options for China in this matchup. And Dutch kind of doesn't have as many. They kind of, they have to make their banks.
That's exactly it. They got to make their banks. All right. Well, speaking of banks, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to head to the bank as we're on game number 7, spawning in on the south side of the map, playing as the Dutch in the color red. We've got Julian K. Hold on a minute. Wait, we got different civs. I didn't expect to see this. Whoa.
Oh.
Hold on a minute. So Julian K is going to be on the Dutch. We don't have Warsword on the Dutch. And on the north side of the map, playing as the Japanese, we've got Warsword. We've been bamboozled indeed. But hey, I was still feeling the Dutch vibes. And indeed, I was rewarded. Mitoe, a matchup right here. This is a classic matchup. This one takes me back. How do you feel about this matchup? It's the classic house boom versus the non-house boom.
This is actually another one of my favorite matchups.
Yeah.
Just because it's really interesting, the dynamic between, like, as you said, like, both these civs really like to boom, but you don't want your your opponent to boom harder than you. So it's like, at what point do you cut the boom and apply a little pressure, whether it's like killing shrines or like pushing in with skirmishers, or maybe Japan flips the script and goes for like some early Nagi Ashi shenanigans. I know Lucas loves to do that with he goes like Nagi Yumi Club, and it's actually really annoying to deal with his Dutch. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this plays out for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the case. Well, I'm suspecting that we're probably going to be seeing the Toshogu Shrine coming out. Would you expect that as well? Just obviously we've got the Portuguese consulate. We've also got the classic Shrine cost-reducing card here.
Heavenly Kami, that's a card you don't see very much anymore.
Yeah.
It's weird to say that, but definitely
it used to be just such a staple, didn't it? I mean, there was never any strategy other than Shrine booming for Japan. But obviously, we went through that phase at the beginning of DE where the... I'm trying to remember his name. It was a StarCraft 2 player. And he got to like...
Lilbo.
Lilbo, thank you. Yeah, Lilbo. He got to, geez, what was it? Like rank number 5 on the ladder, just doing that strategy. It was a beautiful strategy. It was incredible. Never been done before, and he just made it work.
Well, it had been done before, but yeah, he just did it so well. I think it was like even before DE came out, people were starting to lean away from Heavenly Kami, but not so much towards the Torii Gates as often. And he definitely made that a more popular strategy. It's interesting to see that like it's not really been around as much since then. I can't remember if Japan maybe got some nerfs since then or not, but either way, he is going for a Shrine boom this game. And that'll definitely help him keep up with the Dutch bank boom if Dutch does go for a bank boom, or even put him ahead of it.
All right, so question to you. You see you're playing as the Dutch. You scout the Toshogu Shrine coming up. Do you, A, look to play it out in the second age a little bit longer, maybe get some pikes out, maybe get some skirms out, or do you just say, you know what, I'll meet you in the third age, I'll make my banks, and we'll have a party there. We'll do my banks versus your shrines. Which option do you take?
Well, if it was me, the way I really like to play this matchup is Dutch. I love to go with a forward barracks and train some pikes and some skirms and try to kill some shrines and harass the vills and stuff like that. And I play it out in H2 for a little while before adding some more banks and eventually going to Fortress. Yep. But I don't think there's anything wrong with just going for like a 5-bank FF either.
Okay, question. How do you feel about the Logistician here?
Wow, the Logistician.
Let's take a look and see exactly what Julian's up to.
I've never experimented with it, so I'm not sure. It's probably not terrible, but I don't think you really need the halberdiers against Japan in particular. They're not going to be going for cavalry very early, but yeah, Julian's going to be going for the quartermaster. He is collecting gold. He's not. This looks like he might be going for some pikes or skirms. He's not going to be going for that 700 wood first into second bank, or he could still go 700 wood first. Yeah. But maybe no immediate bank.
It'll be 700 wood does indeed come out, but I suspect we might see a Rax come out as the first port of call. Let's see exactly what he does as he crosses the 200 wood threshold.
He does have 350 wood. He could go for a second bank here and then just add the barracks with the 700 wood right away.
Yeah, might be a good call, and that's exactly what he looks to do. So playing it very smart, getting out 2 banks. Look at the timing on these 2 banks. Isn't that just absolutely beautiful? It's going to have this bad boy up by 4 minutes 50. Plenty of XP in the bank. Once that second bank finishes, it's going to provide him a huge boost to his XP, and he's going to be able to ship through either a bank wagon or 8 pikes as an option. We now see a windmill slowly getting captured over towards this east side. And for all the new players out there, Mitoe, could you explain a little bit how these windmill mechanics work exactly?
Yeah, they're basically capture points. You defeat the Guardians, and then you put a unit or a building next to it, and it will capture it for you, and it will start trickling resources for you. Very similar to the Silk Road trading posts, if anyone is familiar with that. I don't know if that's in the map pool on DE, so the new players may not be familiar with that map either. But yeah, it's an interesting mechanic. As we can see, it forces a little bit of interaction early on, and it's going to be a pretty decent advantage for Warsword having that so early.
Yeah, 1 food a second. That's definitely nothing to sniff at.
It's a villager.
Yeah, it's a huge amount. But we do see more shrines coming down now on the north side of the map. Interestingly, didn't opt for more aggressive shrines here. It's been very close to his own base shrining. So you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but theoretically, the best way to do it, you just want to start off on your enemy's base. You know, you've got an explorer on either side of the base. Then you just want to start shrining up those hunts and then work your way back towards your base. Is that normally the way that you'd expect people to go about it?
Yeah, the traditional wisdom is to try to shrine your opponent's hunts before you shrine your own hunts, and that kind of does 2 things for you. For one, if your opponent neglects to kill them, it denies them resources later on in the game. It also means that you have some safer locations to build new shrines if they're getting destroyed, or if your explorers are low hit points or whatever. But there's some pros and cons to it. Like, this method here means that their shrines are going to be easier to defend, and if he had a lot of units out earlier, he'd be able to maybe even punish some units that were sieging them.
Right,
but,
okay.
It's going to be 5 Naginatas for Japan coming out now.
Yeah, interesting. One of the things to note is that we do actually have that fast fortress coming through from Julian, so I would expect during the age up period, I'm not sure whether it's still the meta, but whether we see 600 wood coming through from him, and indeed it is going to be 600 wood coming through during the transition period. So smart moves here. He's going to be able to drop down a stable, guarantee that he's got some Reuters ready to go. One of the best Dragoon units in the game by far. I don't think there's any question about that, Mitoe. These guys absolutely just bust balls. Now we see the Nagis running in, looking to dish out some damage, or at least cause a bit of havoc. Let's see if the villager pool comes in. There's a few vills here. Unfortunately, no villager pool today. They get surrounded. A little bit of a tree block might come in as well. Unfortunately, the first one does go down. Second one manages to make it to the TC. And Explorer also goes down underneath.
Yeah, I actually really like the Noggies here. It's a good read from Warsword, knowing that his opponent likely isn't making any units. He can just sit under the TC and get a ton of idle time with these Noggi. He even got the 1 villager kill, he got the XP from killing the Explorer, and this is just going to be a really solid trade for him, even if he loses all of these Noggies just idling the vills.
All right, well, we now see the age up coming through. It's going to be Halberdiers coming out for Julian, so unfortunately, the failure to go for the Logistician here has meant that he's locked himself out of Halberdiers until the 3rd age.
Yeah, but, you know, this is actually the other advantage of going Noggies here, is he's forcing this Halb reaction rather than Reuters or Skirmishers, which is what you would normally want as Dutch here. So the Halbs are still going to be useful for sieging the shrines, but
exactly, yeah,
it's not going to be as strong a unit composition when it comes to like kiting or anything like that.
Yeah, typically as the Dutch, you'd love to be going into Reuter Skirm. It works really well in this composition or in this matchup. We now see the age up going to be coming through, so not too far behind Warsword is. Obviously playing as the Japanese here. Pretty decent civilization. The longer the game goes on, the better it feels. To have the age up coming through now. I suspect it's probably going to be the oh my lord, it's been too long. The one that gives the arsenal upgrades. That's what I'm going for.
The Dutch consulate?
No. Oh, sorry. The advanced arsenal upgrades, I should say. I'll have to wait and see on the age up.
Oh,
yeah,
the golden pavilion.
There we go.
Sorry, I like completely missed the whole age up part of that, and I was like, wait, is he talking about the consulate? Okay, we're on the same page now.
All right, cool. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, Dutch consulate now coming through, so you did call that one. Villagers still in queue. Nothing too crazy going on at the moment. Moving out towards the east side of the map, we see slowly the Halberdiers coming out here. Divine Strike coming through. He's going to be able to secure up a treasure. Not too bad. But Dutch allies. So, are you expecting a bank wagon here?
Yeah, I mean, what better way to deal with banks than to build your own banks?
It does make sense. If you can't beat them, join them. But yeah, he's going to be heading into overdrive here. So plenty of units on the way out, and the economy is looking pretty decent. So, which civilization do you prefer to be here? Now that both players have managed to get up into the fortress age, with their economies both looking pretty decent. Would you rather be, would you rather be that large mass of Yumi archers, or would you rather be the Skirm Reuter?
It's hard to say. I think it's pretty close at this point. I think Japan might be a little bit more comfortable in the short term before he has to send those cherry orchards. He's going to be able to send. He's got those 2 flaming arrows. Both of the 2 flaming arrow shipments on the way now, and those are going to be a little bit annoying for Dutch to deal with. But after that, he's going to have to send the cherry orchards, and that might slow down his tempo a little bit.
Yeah, that it typically becomes a little bit of a difficult point there for the Japanese player. But do we have a forward shipment point here for him? It doesn't seem like it. He might have to have a bit of a long walk ahead of him. But with that double shipment coming through, it could be Culverins. Could be a decent choice here for Julian. All right, well, it's going to be 1,000 wood as his shipment. He heads into 8 skirms after that. Slowly but steadily sieging down the shrines. See another one go down as he moves on to the next one. On the west side of the map, Skirm's going to get caught with their pants down. Nice little pickup here of 2 skirms. It's doing a great job of just sieging down shrines everywhere. And that's how it is going to have to move on to greener pastures as the Yumi archers look to try and pick them up. And Ashigaru trying their best to corner them. No, they're just going to be heading back the other way, because hold on a minute. Could have ourselves a little bit of a switcheroo here.
Yeah, going to be losing a couple of Ashi there. But this is something I've noticed that Warsword consistently does pretty well in these games, is he's not afraid to be active with his units, and he always looks for where the straggler units are going to be, where are the reinforcements coming, and he's very on top of punishing that when he sees it.
All right, well, hopefully he's going to be able to pick that up. But hold on a minute. We got a little bit of an interesting card coming through. This is infantry combat. It's going to be providing 15% to his skirms, to his halbs on health and damage. So it means that this is a much larger focus now on that. Around that 20-minute mark is ideally where you want to be. But he's looking to really heavily pick it up. Let's see if he changes his direction now that the age up, or
my
that he's
God.
spotted out. And yeah, we do see that he's got the Culverin Q now.
Did you see that those skirmishers just narrowly avoided like 3 of those flaming arrow volleys and survived?
I missed it, unfortunately. I think I was looking at the production queue now that the flaming arrows are out. But we do see that Culves are on the way at the moment for Julian, so he's going to be looking to defend. He's got everything he needs to put a cohesive defense in here, but he doesn't have a lot of space. Oh, geez. And the thing is, ideally, you want to be fighting with those Culverin, don't you? You really need them at this point. They're trying to make their way around the tree line. Might get caught with their pants down once again. Skirm's trying their best. He actually continued with the infantry combat here. Instead of opting for something like 7 Skirms or 9 Reuter, he just continues with that infantry combat. How do you feel about that, Mitoe?
I think the infantry combat is okay. It's like the main focus of his composition is going to be around the artillery now, right? So he can focus on getting those upgrades in, like an extra 7 skirms isn't going to make a huge difference, but
oh my lord, those Culves were beautiful. He takes out 2 of the flaming arrows, only 2 remain, and it's going to be good night, sweet prince for all of the flaming arrows. Continues holding on, a beautiful little spot he's got here underneath the town center. Ashigaru moving forward as the final flaming arrow is now gone down. The skirms looking to hold on. Keep in mind, these bad boys have got their skirm combat card that's come through, but still the numbers looking pretty decent here for Warsword. Now, this is where it starts to get difficult, because if there's Nagis on the way or something like that, he can get underneath the TC. Falcop coming out. Mitoe, go for it.
Yeah, the Falconets are out now. It looks like Warsword's actually going to be forced to back up if those Falconets can get in range of those Ashies. They're getting some shots now. And yeah, he's going to be backing up. Overall, I think that was... it was a good trade for Julian. Just losing a few more skirmishers at the end there, maybe a bit unnecessarily, but the Falconets maybe going to compensate for that. I think that was as good a trade as you could have hoped for with the Culverins and the Flaming Arrows, but he might have wanted to kite the rest of the Ashies there. I think Warsword took a good trade on the latter half of that fight.
I got to agree with you. It definitely felt that way. You know, the Culverin, they started off and they were like, oh, wow, you know, already swinging the fight. But now we see, you know, a pretty decent swing on that second half of the fight. But Ashigaru coming out, obviously moving quickly around the map, able to take out those villagers and force them off the hunt. So where does Julian go for food from here? Because he might have to start thinking about milling it up.
Yeah, maybe he goes for that hunt kind of directly in front of his base. It's tricky. He doesn't have the units to really defend either of these hunts very well at the moment. And Warsword's aware of that. He's got his other units sitting on the other hunt right now. You know, he had his monk down by the third hunt on the left side of his base there. He's done a very good job of just keeping his units active on these parts of the map. And that's a good response, actually, from Julian dropping this wall down.
Yeah, this will be a nice little spot for him to be able to keep this safe, but there are units out here just towards that northern position about to hit that gold mine. He should be able to run into the villager. Let's see if he spots it. Indeed he does. And that villager once again goes down, and now I'm starting to get a little bit more worried about that economic difference.
Though.
Nice little flank, yeah. Oh, it's not too bad at all.
This is really bad.
This is looking terrible right now for Julian. He's caught between a rock and a hard place. The Nagi's definitely going to be finding a lot of luck here as they get the snare in. Ash is just looking good behind it as well. More units continuing to come through. 57 military population up against the 36. He's managed to make it to the other side of the wall, but keep in mind that wall is not constructed. It's not complete. Villagers down on the south side. He would have seen the hunt move up. He could send some Ashigaru down there, and if he does, it could be the end of the game.
Yeah, that was like a really well-executed surround from Warsword, and that's a really strong fight for him. Is he going to realize that the villagers are just hiding out in that gold mine there? I think it's just out of line of sight, and those villas are going to live. So Julian's not out of the game just yet, but he's getting close. There's a fight going on inside the base right now. We need to take a look at what's going on over there next to the town center. Villagers are running.
It's a Culverin. The Culverin doing what Culverins do best, shooting cavalry. But unfortunately, the Nagis are just inside the base, able to deal with it, and the Ashigaru are going to be able to fall in underneath the town center, taking out the harder to deal with Culverin, but with that also clearing up the Reuters and a handful of skirms that did unfortunately pop out on the wrong side of the barracks. And take a look at what Julian's got in queue as well. Like at this point, we've got halberdiers in queue. The macro, unfortunately, it's not looking the best. 15 idols at the moment. No villagers on food. Things not looking good. Minutemen do get called. But you can't help but feel like it's all over Red Rover at this point, as Julian is now behind about 7K. And keep in mind, this is match point. In the event that Warsword wins this game, that is all over Red Rover. That is him taking the 3rd place and being victorious in this series.
Yeah, I think Warsword's done it. There's just no way for Julian to produce the units that he needs to defend this. The unit, like, all the Ashi are right on top of all the production. As you said, like, all the villagers are idle. He's not collecting food. The Falconets are not quite in the position they need to be. Oh, and they're gonna go down pretty quickly. I think that was kind of the last hope for Julian there, was that some miracle happens with the Falconets, and there we go. There's the resignation. Really well played series by Warsword, taking it 5-2.
Impressive stuff there from Warsword. You can't help but think it may have been different had we seen a logistician for Julian. But I guess we'll never know, Mitoe. Maybe tomorrow.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. Very well played, though. Congratulations going over to Warsword. He's going to be picking up our 3rd place, which obviously is better than 4th place. Now, when it comes to 3rd place, that's going to mean $1,000 in the pocket for him compared to $800 for 4th place. So not a bad little pickup there. But if you're watching this right now on Twitch, do not go anywhere because we've got a 2nd series coming up for you. So if you haven't already, make sure you call your family, call your friends, let them know that you're not doing anything for the next 5 hours because we got a best of 9 to get through. We're going all the way, buddy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be taking a quick break. I say quick, quote unquote. We're going to be jumping in, so a 7-minute break, and then we're going to be having your grand finals. Of course, we just witnessed the bronze place match right there. It was an impressive run by Warsword and Julian to make it this far through the tournament. I think a lot of people probably didn't expect, you know, a treaty player like Julian to make it so far, but obviously incredibly competent player. And then by the same token, Warsword, young guy from China. So he's done well to get through this far as well. But we'll be diving into the grand finals. It's going to be Revnak up against Ungers. Don't go anywhere. Before we do, Mitoe, you have any quick words from our sponsors?
From our sponsors, I think. Oh man, I should have looked up ahead of time. It's Tat Cafe that sponsored this one, right?
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. Big shout out to Tat Cafe for all your cafe needs with regard to. If I remember correctly, it's actually software, isn't it? B2B.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it's an app. I'm gonna have to look up exactly what it does in our downtime here. But yeah, thank you so much to Tat Cafe for sponsoring it, and definitely check it out. They've contributed, I believe, a large part of the prize pool. I think $3,000, so not a small contribution. And yeah, it's thanks to sponsors like that we can have a tournament this big. For Age of Empires 3. It's been, I think, over 10 years since AV3 has had a prize pool even close to this. So yeah, big thank you to them. Be sure to give them a check out on the App Store. I don't know which App Store, but somewhere. And yeah, we'll try to find out some more information about them for you guys after this.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you very, very shortly. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back very